My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only, and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. This is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and this podcast, captured on June 3rd, 2025, is documentation which is evidence with regard to the prosecution of the U.S. government that is engaged in targeting in the state of California via the people of the state in concert with the government itself. And so that is relevant with regard to the kidnapping as opposed to a merely false arrest and false allegations. Because of the criminal surveillance that is underway, this is understanding the malice behind such allegations. It's understanding the malice behind confinement and seizure of your person, where the entity is engaging in a pattern of conduct seeking to obstruct justice for it, and also seeking to render illegitimate the evidence of it, and also have that target individual discarded from society, and doing that by defamation. And it's defamation that is criminal because it is serving and aiding the government's pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring. So a high level of malice is here, and I want to preface that with the fact that I am subject to a kidnapping on May 29, 2025. So if you are listening to my podcast, that's what you witnessed on May 29, 2024. It is at the tail end of that podcast. I'm documenting the entire day. And at 7:23 specifically, the Ontario Police Department arrive pursuant to criminal summoning, they're already monitoring. So you are witnessing the malicious pattern of conduct underway. It is being executed. And these are demons who are also exhibiting mental illness of a psychopathic nature. They are acting together, engaging in what is criminal monitoring and seeking to accomplish a kidnapping under the guise of the operation of the legal justice, the criminal justice system, conducting a health check, or the second attempt, which included making malicious assertions regarding a physical attack, violence, meaning breaking the law in one way or another, which is also malicious. And it's malicious because the Ontario Police Department are monitoring, and they know very well that there was no physical assault, no battery of Tracy Banks in the way in which it was stated that she was punched in her face, that she had scars on her face. This is all malicious, meaning it's intentional and it's specific with regard to the purpose to have me subject to a seizure, where then that gang stalking police department is on its surface appearing to have probable cause, authority under the law, the Constitution, to arrest, and then pursuant to the Welfare and Institutions Code, take you to a facility where they make a report, and then that medical facility, that is gang stalking as well, because that's exactly what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center was engaged in and is engaged in. It's a state system. So I was there subject to it while the entity was engaging in criminal defamation for purposes of kidnapping, for purposes of maintaining me in a kidnapped state. So it is June 3rd, 2025 when I am released from kidnapping at approximately 2:50 p.m. And the entity is covering up the fake sun. The moment that I am let out of the building, it immediately starts pouring down raining. And that's a lot like my documentation when I document the fake sun. And if you'll pay attention to my videos, the videos where you've seen the fake sun covered up by it's shining at the beginning of the video, and it's covered up by the end of the video after I get through going through the legal analysis and pointing out what you saw maybe 3 hours earlier, or what you saw yesterday, or what you saw at a totally different location, like in a different state or in a different county. This has happened very frequently, and also this is relevant to what's happening at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, but I've already documented the fake sun at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center in perfect alignment with my room where I was kept kidnapped in June of 2022, pursuant to this entity's kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice, using criminal defamation as the tactic to kidnap. And that is, again, not a lawful arrest, and it's not merely false imprisonment or a false arrest. It's kidnapping pursuant to criminal summoning and malicious charges, malicious assertions. It's not just false because the entity knows everything that I'm doing. The entity is a sex offender monitoring my genitalia. So this is with malice that everything is occurring. So the entity is engaging in this kidnapping, and that's what you are witnessing on the podcast. On May 29th, it starts at 7:23 p.m. via podcast. I immediately switch into video at 7:35 p.m. And at the tail end of that video, you are witnessing, first off, at the beginning, many concessions, many admissions being made with regard to the purpose of everything that Tracy Banks was doing before she even entered the apartment that day. And then you're recognizing what it is that she stated, what the reports state, and everything that I will expound upon regarding the kidnapping, like I have on my website. Every kidnapping that I've been subject to, there are other kidnappings that the entity stole evidence of. So I don't have the documents, I don't have the notations, but the entity has engaged in kidnapping, and for purposes of prosecution, when the government is kidnapping in order to obstruct justice, your testimony will be sufficient. It's going to be known, it's already established that gang stalking is not a fable. It's not solely within the imagination of a targeted individual, that targeted individuals aren't real, et cetera, et cetera. The P.O.C. is serving that purpose, and so everything that the entity has stolen evidence of, I will be able to testify to it, especially since I've already established my credibility as well, and I don't need to make up, and I'm not interested in making up anything. Actually, this kidnapping is showing how the entity is making up everything, making up anything and everything except for an explanation regarding the specific environment where a kidnapping was underway at the very heavily documented facilitating venue of Woodside Senior Apartments. And that is on May 29, 2025 at approximately 8:45 p.m. where the second attempt, the beginning of the podcast, and then the video is what is converted into the podcast that begins at 7:35 p.m. And the Ontario Police Department, Nathan Morgan, L. Martinez, and B. Hook, these three demons of the Ontario Police Department leave, and they fail in their initial kidnapping effort with regard to criminal defamation in order to substantiate what would be an arrest pursuant to the Welfare and Institutions Code. And so Tracy Banks re-enters the apartment, if you listen, and this is the second kidnapping attempt, where then she's engaging in what is the same thing regarding criminal defamation, and criminal defamation will now include what is assertion of malicious charges that I physically harmed her, and that is where the police are then going to act on it, and that's exactly what the purpose of criminal summoning is serving on this day on May 29, 2025. So that was the second attempt that's occurring, and I'm kidnapped officially at 8:45 p.m. on May 29th, and I remain subject to this kidnapping from May 29th until June 3rd, and I'm released at approximately 2:50 p.m. The entity manufacturing everything from the beginning to the end, and in representing my own interests, representing myself, even while those under the guise of being some sort of legal representation, they are not genuinely acting on your behalf. They are not zealously advocating. They are engaging in the P.O.C. in the courtroom, okay? And they are doing so with regard to the same pattern of conduct. But again, the entity is engaging in this, and I am released from that kidnapping, and that is what I will give details on pertaining to the kidnapping that I was subject to at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where the medical professionals, the patients, who are the people of the state, the Colton Police Department, the entity itself, much like I'm documenting on June 3rd as I am released, which is what you're listening to. When I'm released from the facility, it's gang stalking at the hospital, in the parking lot, at the bus stop, amongst the government and the people of the state acting vicariously. So this is speaking to the P.O.C. that I'm subject to ceaselessly. During the course of the kidnapping and after I'm released from that kidnapping, the pattern of conduct does not cease to exist. And I am going from Arrowhead Regional Medical Center on June 3rd to the bus stop at the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center outside of the hospital, which is in relevant position when I'm subject to that P.O.C. And then the entity is engaging in what is following from place to place. That's what gang stalking is, as I document the specific environment, as I document the behavioral pattern. And the entity is following from Arrowhead Regional Medical Center as an entity to what is the city of Fontana, the Fontana Metrolink train station, and then to what is the city of Ontario, to Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard, and that is documented. And that's also included in the podcast, so that's what you will listen to, and it is relevant with regard to the kidnapping that I was subject to from May 29th until June 3rd, 2025. Until 2:55 p.m. is when I am released from that kidnapping. The pattern of conduct does not stop, however. And so that is relevant to the evidence that I will publish pertaining to the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center's engagement in another kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice via criminal defamation and the criminal misuse of medical licensure, medical training, even the use of a hospital as a facilitating venue for gang stalking. Psychological torture is diametrically opposed to what is a facility where you're supposedly engaging in what is aiding people who may genuinely have mental health issues, but that is not my condition. The entity was gang stalking the entire time, and engaging in what is nothing other than harassment, because they could not successfully depict me as one who was mentally ill under the law. Okay, so name calling is not it. That's not going to get it, and neither is harassment. So that's essentially what the demons who are practicing medicine at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center engaged in on behalf of the state, the entity. It was a criminal act committed by the entity that is gang stalking still to date, as I'm documenting at Starbucks, as I'm documenting where the Ontario Police is gang stalking upon my release by helicopter from place to place as well. So I wanted to give that context. This is documented on June 3rd, 2025 upon my release from kidnapping. And the people of the state, I did document by license plate while they are engaging in surveillance upon the release from the kidnapping, and that's what I'm subject to in the parking lot. So I do document also a series of license plates as I go from city to city. But remember, those are the people of the state engaging in the elements of monitoring as I encounter them. The entire state, the entity is monitoring me together. Everywhere that I go, the pattern of conduct remains underway. So be mindful of that. This is not to individualize and isolate one person, because that one person is acting as an entity. All right, this is P.O.C. All right, the kidnapping that did occur on May 29, 2025, pursuant to criminal summoning, which is within the pattern of conduct. It is the entity demonstrating malice while they are engaged in that same exact ceaseless pattern of conduct. And that is in the form of the police that are gang stalking are then summoned within the operation of that corrupt system to entertain the assertions of the people of the state who are targeting with the police while they engage in an intent to seize the person and this is what Tracy Banks is engaging in. And again, like I've stated, Tracy Banks is already documented as one openly communicating her unlawful purpose to obstruct justice, while I'm documenting literally gang stalking that she's engaged in where she resides with the people of the state at that venue of Woodside Senior Apartments. So this is pursuant to this kidnapping on May 29, 2025, and I am kidnapped as of 8:45 p.m. I'm inside of Officer C. Torres's vehicle, and I am subject to this kidnapping, which I will, again, like I stated, will provide the documentation speaking to the pattern of conduct that's always underway. The P.O.C, the elements of monitoring, ceaselessly remain. The entity that is gang stalking then engages in what is a fictitious exercise of authority under the law while they're simultaneously gang stalking, making malicious allegations because they're not just false. The entity is targeting with false allegations in order to kidnap, and also doing so because of the documentation exposing their criminal activity with the intent to obstruct justice, in other words. And the entity is doing so while they are engaging in that pattern of conduct, even in real time. Literally, the kidnapping, the arrest, the drive to whatever facility, they're monitoring simultaneously. This is the heights of hypocrisy and the heights of malicious and criminal activity by the corrupt government. It is public corruption. So while I'm subject to this kidnapping as of 8:45 p.m., the latest time that I'm able to see when the Ontario Police Department put their hands on me and put handcuffs on me and take my property in the form of my cell phone and all of the rest of my property, which on video Tracy Banks is seen damaging my property, seen taking it out of the apartment, throwing it outside, and making a series of threats, while also engaging in seeking to initiate an altercation while she is engaged in what is method 2, the kidnapping attempt that's going to now include allegations of violence because it didn't work when she merely asserted, oh, she takes medications. No, I don't. And what medications are you talking about? What HIPAA information? You could see me go through that inquiry with both the officers and Tracy Banks, who cannot keep their lies together while they are in real time just freestyling, making up defamatory and injecting subjects that are inapplicable in order to engage in what is a reaction. Actually, that's the type of thing that the entity engages in to get a reaction from the targeted individual in order to support, oh, we need to conduct a health check. That's the type of thing that you are doing to trigger that person that is subject to that circumstance. And being aware of this, I'm documenting. That's exactly why I captured it on video. So I want to document, again, what I'm going to document right now are the people of the state that I documented from the point of kidnapping, again, on May 29, 2025 at approximately 8:45 p.m. after the entity is engaged in what is the malicious assertions of physical violence against Tracy Banks, and upon criminal summoning while the entity is engaged in gang stalking. And then until release on June 3rd at approximately 2:39 p.m., where the entity is gang stalking for the entirety of that, during the course of the whole kidnapping, monitoring in a hospital, and then engaging in the fictitious exercise of medicine. It's pursuant to the pattern of conduct in the engineer light, under the fake sun, amplified helicopter activity while inside of that facility. And that amplified helicopter activity, which is occurring pursuant to following my acts of documentation, amplified helicopter activity with sound inside of Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, following my acts of reporting the facility for its series of violations of my rights pursuant to a detention in that facility. And this is, again, pursuant to malicious assertions by the gang stalkers themselves, the Ontario Police, the state of California, the people of the state, Tracy Banks, which is the state of California that's targeting, engaging in a kidnapping together via criminal summoning. Those malicious assertions are what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center then relies on to kidnap while they are in the facility gang stalking. And the hallmark is underway. Helicopter activity is sounding, and I documented it specifically, and that's, again, what I will expound upon, but I want to make sure that
I'm reading these license plates because I have already set up what is the pattern of conduct which remains underway while I'm in the hospital, and then upon being released at approximately 2:39 p.m. on June 3rd, 2025, the entity is gang stalking while I'm walking from the hospital to the bus stop where the pattern of conduct is rampant underway, and it's the pattern of conduct while I was subject to kidnapping inside of the facilities as well. So this is what's relevant about the people of the state and the entity following me from the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, getting on Omnitrans, which is a gang stalker, and all the entity is following me from place to place, stalking while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct. As I go then to Fontana, the Fontana Metrolink train station, at which I've already documented the city of Fontana, and the entity is engaged in stalking as I then get on Omnitrans, a documented gang stalker, replete with the fake sun visible through the window of that bus when the entity is maintaining this light source from the beginning to the end of the day at other places, such as Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, like I documented at the venue of the Woodside Senior Apartments, and the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct as I remain subject to it on an ongoing basis. So the placement of the fake sun that is visible through the windshield of the Omnitrans bus that's coming toward Ontario, the city of Ontario, which is not going to be seen over the roof of the Woodside Senior Apartments, which is not going to be seen at the same time of year in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens. This is the entity that's gang stalking from city to city, engaging in what is understanding the bigger picture, a kidnapping that this entity that is gang stalking me committed, and which I resisted with regard to the ability to demonstrate how it's merely malicious assertions and there is no evidence of any mental illness, and they were false assertions made by the police and Tracy Banks together, and that it was Arrowhead Regional Medical Center that unreasonably relied on it, especially in the face of what it is that I'm telling them. But this is all under the guise of them actually having authority. Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is a gang stalker. But even in their alternate universe where they exercise fictitious authority under the law, I am exposing and documenting for prosecution the entity that engages in such exercise of fictitious authority in order to kidnap as an entity. All right. So this is, again, initiated by Tracy Banks, which the government relies on. The government that acts directly relies on the government acting vicariously, Tracy Banks, the people of the state, in order to initiate such kidnappings. All right. And so that's what's relevant with regard to the false charges that are then put into writing by the gang stalking police that are then submitted to the gang stalker, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, who are then engaged in what is an unlawful detention while they exercise fictitious authority under the Welfare and Institutions Code. And it is in the specific environment where the entity is amplifying helicopter activity as I report the violations of that facility upon that unlawful detention and it is unlawful. There's mandated disclosures that the facility is supposed to provide. They did not. They then go behind and state, oh yeah, we did. We just put it in the record and did give it to me. Stuff like that, which I will expound upon as well. But nonetheless, it's an unlawful detention as they violate the law while they detain me. And remember, this is all under the guise of not addressing even gang stalking. It's all a violation of the law because they're engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. All right, while they exercise authority under the Welfare and Institutions Code that they do not actually have, because no targeting hospital, no targeting state will unlawfully detain an American citizen as in furtherance of the purpose, the objective to kidnap them via criminal defamation. And that's what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center and the Ontario Police Department, which is the state of California, are engaging in on May 29, 2025 through June 3rd, 2025. So the helicopter activity is recurring inside of the hospital. That is literally uncharacteristic of a hospital where you're supposedly providing mental health services, a peaceful, quaint environment, where restorative with regard to whatever needs it is, and a peaceful and quiet environment is directly opposite of what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, that's engaged in psychological torture in the impossible light, and also doing so. It's not just that specific environment, which is included. Helicopter activity is a part of the specific environment. I've identified at the outset, gang stalking by helicopter is an identifying factor. And then that specific environment that defies nature is identifying the presence of that pattern of conduct. And this is what's going on at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. And it's pursuant to also recognizing what it is, the helicopter activity is occurring, amplified in volume inside of the hospital as I would report the facilities, meaning calling the county patients' rights advocate office, reporting the failure to provide any sort of responsibilities that they were, disclosures that they were supposed to provide, contact information that they were supposed to provide. And this is while not even addressing the fact that they're gang stalking. This is when the entity would engage in helicopter activity inside of the facility. The entity has maintained impossible light activity inside of the facility. The patients, the personnel, all together, every single person in that venue is monitoring while they have double and triple shadows that are perpendicular and vacillating from being on both sides of their person to being all around their person when they are pacing in that hospital amongst amplified audible activity, which is also exceeding just helicopter activity. It's including amplified rumbling through the walls, amplified toilet flushing when nobody's even flushing any toilets, as though someone is kicking and beating the walls. All of this is uncharacteristic of that which is supposed to be happening in a hospital that's purportedly providing mental health services, a sort of restorative program to aid people in what are their plights regarding their mental health. The entity is engaged in psychological torture while it is gang stalking inside of the hospital, which is in Colton, California. The entity is maintaining impossible light. The entity is maintaining the fake sun, as I already documented in June of 2022. The entity is also documented engaging in impossible light activity while medical professionals pace in it, documented in 2022 for you to witness with your own eyes. The entity documented gang stalking in the specific environment while I'm in Los Angeles, and on the same day at the same time, I'm showing you what's impossible to be at the entrance of the behavioral health unit at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, and also outside of my bedroom window, creating any sort of light inside of my room with regard to Arrowhead Regional Medical Center being a gang stalker seeking to kidnap with the state. The specific environment is already established, therefore. As I am released from kidnapping on June 3rd, 2025 at approximately 2:39 p.m., the people of the state are engaged in stalking from place to place as an entity, gang stalking, and doing so in the demonic manner that I have documented with regard to understanding gang stalking. It's happening amongst engineered light, it's happening amongst amplified audible activity, and it's happening amongst obsessive presence. And that presence, characterized as obsessive, is proven through the maintenance of that supernatural environment. They are seen as the stalkers rather than a bunch of strangers that are minding their business. They're not minding their business amongst impossible light activity. They're not minding their business amongst the government that's gang stalking in the ways in which I've shown: plane activity, helicopter activity, amplified audible activity, and doing so amongst impossible light activity and under a fake sun that remains over me from city to city. That specific environment is ongoing on June 3rd, 2025, where the entity is amplifying audible activity and maintaining impossible light activity around me, while the people of the state are a bunch of demons who are pacing. They're monitoring. And this is the same entity that committed a kidnapping, and upon release from that kidnapping is gang stalking from the hospital to the city of Ontario, where the entity is maintaining ongoing criminal monitoring to date. So this is the documentation of the people of the state engaging in that. These are, the state of California is engaged in multiple kidnappings. So this is going to be a prosecution of the government repeatedly seeking to engage in what is obstructing justice by kidnapping with malice, exercising fictitious authority under the law, and necessarily doing so in concert with the people of the state, whom the government that is targeting relies on to engage in things such as criminal summoning while they are monitoring together. It is the demonstration of malice, not merely false charges or insufficient charges lacking evidence. They lack evidence because they're false, and the false charges are maliciously made while criminal surveillance is underway. And that's what's relevant about Tracy Banks being documented on May 29th, as you can hear the exchange and then you can witness it. You can see the video, but I also included the video on the podcast. All right, so this documentation of the license plates of the government, the city of Colton is gang stalking, the city of Fontana is gang stalking, the city of Ontario is gang stalking as I leave the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, and the pattern of conduct is underway just as it was inside of that facility for the entire course of that kidnapping, which the entity committed with the intent to obstruct justice, that is silence the evidence, in other words, silence me from documenting and from publishing it, silence me by trying to label me, falsely label me as one who is mentally ill, which again, like I've already stated, has nothing to do with the evidence, because the evidence speaks for itself, regardless of what you want to call the targeted individual, which is unsupported by evidence, the evidence of a fake sun, the evidence of stalking, literally from place to place in helicopters, which is documented, the evidence of the supernatural environment, such as amplification, the evidence of people who are engaging in behavior that is supernatural, such as driving by and light streaming, seemingly from vehicles, even inside of buildings. That's speaking to the pattern of conduct that has nothing to do with the targeted individual's mind state. You're documenting it on video so that everyone else can witness that. The demon possessed engage in and rely on merely name calling. When the government is engaging in it, the government does it through the exercise of fictitious authority under the law, kidnapping you in order to fit you into some sort of category whereby they can hold you in a facility. That's kidnapping by the entity. That is gang stalking. And by the way, that is unpersuasive and totally irrelevant, actually, with regard to the evidence that stands alone. It stands by itself. Okay, the evidence is not relying on my describing it to you. The evidence is not relying on my making sure that you have some sort of a secret understanding before you see. No, you can clearly see the sun sits over an apartment building for 11 hours. That is not the sun that's in Florida. That's impossible to coexist. That is not the sun that would be at the same address at the end of the day, but that's exactly what I'm documenting. And that has nothing to do with what the entity seeks to do, which is criminally defame the person that's taken that document, capturing that documentation, capturing that supernatural event. And it fails. But it's relevant because that's the entity that is engaged in targeting, that is engaged in surveillance, and knows about what it is that you are documenting about it while they are targeting you. That's not a coincidental method of targeting someone that has committed no crime and suffers no mental illness. That's directly relevant. So the entity is providing corroborating evidence, and it's also informing federal policy with regard to prosecuting, with regard to relieval from the medical field, from law enforcement, from the legal profession, from sectors and from areas in the public sector that pose a threat to the American public, where gang stalkers who are mentally ill based on their demon possession, as the gang stalking system is exposed, they pose a threat to the public. All right, and this is based on their tendency to engage in things such as kidnapping people when they are violating them in order to silence that person that they're violating. Okay, so this is what is prefacing the documentation of the people of the state, whose license plate I will include, as they are engaging in the elements of monitoring at the specific environment. And it includes while I am in the parking lot of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where commercial airline planes are hovering over the bus stop in the parking lot of the hospital, flying in close proximity, pacing back and forth, and also doing so amongst impossible light activity while the people of the state are driving in that parking lot. Impossible light activity underneath the bus, impossible light activity just streaming across the street, while the entity is maintaining amplified audible activity through the plane activity, through the criminal summoning of the city of the city of Colton, in the specific environment. The entity covering up the fake sun, and so the specific environment is always remaining, like I've also documented as well. So that's already established. But more than that, the specific environment is in the form of a cloudy day, a rainy day. It started pouring down raining. The moment that I was released from the facility, immediately rain begins dropping. That's speaking to the specific environment that is tailored to me as well. In so far as the fake sun showing that how it's tailored to me, the rain immediately falling as I am released outside of the hospital is also relevant to that. But nonetheless, the entity is on a dark, cloudy day, stalking with the under the guise of as supernatural as the sun remaining over me, as I've documented from morning until evening. The entity is gang stalking in the specific environment where the people of the state are pacing around, creating light activity amongst amplified audible activity under the guise of thunder that's amplified in volume, and it's coexisting with streams of light, like lines of light that are falling down, almost like rain from the sky, lines of light that are surrounding me, and that's supposed to be thunder that is cracking down on the sidewalk all around. That's light activity, and it's very demonic. And I just want to be clear with regard to your understanding regarding the weather. Oh, well, that sounds like a thunderstorm. That sounds like a rainy day and a thunderstorm. When you are given the evidence of the specific environment showing you the fake sun, showing you the impossible light that shoots inside of buildings from the outside, ostensibly, that's actually, it's not light that's coming from the vehicles that are outside of the building as they drive by. It's light that has nothing even to do with the vehicles themselves that are driving under the fake sun that remains over me. It is supernatural. Light is being aimed toward me inside of buildings where the people of the state are simultaneously driving by repeatedly in the form of traffic. They're pacing while engineered light is being aimed all around me. That's two separate things. In the same way that the fake sun has nothing to do with light manifesting in the dark, in the shade, it has nothing to do with that. It's a supernatural occurrence. The fake sun documentation is showing the supernatural character of the environment as opposed to the natural weather circumstances. And this is what the entity is doing in the form of, from the sky, thunder, light, lines of light appearing, falling down, if you will, on the ground around me, which is light activity. And it's occurring while the people of the state are surrounding Omnitrans, Victor Valley bus The people of the state, the personnel going from the parking lot, their vehicles into the hospital and vice versa, stalking in the parking lot, driving in and out of the parking lot, driving all around the parking lot. They're pacing an engine or light and maintaining light activity. This was monitoring at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center in the specific environment. Amplified audible activity also with regard to hovering planes over the bus stop at the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center in Colton, California, and also the impossible light activity while the people of the state maintain light activity. That's just using your vehicle, moving around. And while they are using their vehicles and moving around in that environment, impossible light activity doing things such as reaching underneath a bus that's parked at a bus stop with their hazard lights on, creating while they're waiting to engage in taking off for their next bus stop arrival. Impossible light activity appearing underneath the buses while the people of the state, ostensibly strangers, ostensibly minding their business, just driving in, looking for a parking spot, they're monitoring while impossible light appears underneath the bus. In impossible manners, that's how you're identifying the gang stalkers. In the same way, under the fake sun, where impossible light is shooting around like it's an arcade, it's the same P.O.C. on June 3rd, 2025, under the guise of a cloudy, rainy day. All right, it is indeed P.O.C. And the following are the people of the state engaging in gang stalking from the city of Colton to the city of Ontario. License 8, Paul Samuel Roger, 468. 8, Victor Frank Bobby, 908. 8, Jacob Open Mary, 802. 7, Apple Paul 937. 8, Roger Igloo Charlie, 597. 5, Uncle Nancy Tom, 781. 6, Kangaroo 31257. 5, Kangaroo Nancy Apple 199, or that could be 5R. No, I believe that's 5K. Yeah, 5, Kangaroo Nancy Apple 199. 6, Xavier Mary Charlie 961. 5, Mary 5 Samuel Roger, and that's a Utah plate. 8, Thomas David Frank 691. 9, Nancy Larry Xavier 897. 9, Bobby Samuel Uncle 961. Jacob Uncle 587. That's a handicap plate. 7, Nancy Henry Zebra 400. 5, Frank Paul Walter 715. 7, David Victor Jacob 730. 5, Jacob Zebra Thomas 856. 8, Nancy 7425. 7, Yolanda 1, Yolanda 673. 8, Roger 0, Samuel 230. 1, Larry Victor 4, Family Apple Mary. 9, Apple Family or Frank 024. Again, 9, Apple Frank 024. 9, Samuel Frank Uncle 634. License California exempt, documented in Colton, California at approximately 2:55 p.m. 1541499. This is an unmarked vehicle, all black SUV with the California exempt plates, demonstrating law enforcement presence at the city of Colton, engaging in the pattern of conduct, gang stalking, documented them by license plate. License 8, Henry Roger Henry 600, and Victor Valley Transit, license number 1474110. This is Route 15, bus number 1504. And from 3:23 to 3:37 p.m., Omnitrans loitering in relevant position. And you're understanding the superseding documentation of the pattern of conduct as opposed to corrupt businesses that are engaging in what is profiting from domestic terrorism. And so this is being at the bus stop. This is creating light activity. This is called being in relevant position while the government is monitoring an American citizen, and you are simultaneously running a bus line, engaging in the elements of monitoring and making money, profiting while doing so, and facilitating gang stalking. In doing so, Omnitrans is from 323, 337, engaging in this at the bus stop at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. License plate 1656561. This is Route 22, bus number 1309. License 943 Xavier Nancy. This is a handicap plate. License 5 Zebra Edward Victor 930. License 8 Zebra Yolanda Apple 531. License 9, Jacob Paul George 578. License 8, Nancy Henry Thomas 757. License 9, Bobby Samuel Thomas 441. License 8, KLT 525. This is San Bernardino County in the parking lot at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where the entity was engaged in nothing other than incessant pacing amongst impossible light activity, while amplified plane activity and amplified audible activity remains underway, including criminal summoning, which I'm documenting in that parking lot. And these are, while I'm documenting that, I'm writing down all these license plates. And so now I'm reading all these license plates. San Bernardino County is engaged in what is light activity and stalking in the path with light activity on the vehicle in the parking lot of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where the entity is simultaneously engaged in gang stalking under the malicious guise of securing the parking lot area. It's in the specific environment, and they are gang stalking. Colton Police Department, license 1454638, or substantially similar. I did see that license plate from a distance at approximately 3:28 p.m. Colton PD is gang stalking, which is also evident because the entity in Colton at the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center during the course of a kidnapping is repeatedly amplifying helicopter activity after moments of my engaging in documentation, after moments of my engaging in reporting the facility for its series of violations during the detention, where it's exercising authority that it does not have under the Welfare and Institutions Code. And no gang stalker has authority under the Welfare and Institutions Code. Okay. But you certainly don't have it to engage in what is refraining from making disclosures under the law that are required, from engaging in what is such as contact information for who you can call when you're subject to a detention, and information pertaining to the detention. This is what the facility failed to engage in, and they maliciously and intentionally did that while they are targeting myself, who they know is somebody that's trained in the law, knows my rights, and will scrutinize those details that they are relying on. But moreover, doing so while they're engaging in what is gang stalking me for purposes of kidnapping. So you're withholding as much information as possible. And as I reported, the entity engages in a pattern of stalking with amplified helicopter activity, and it's stalking because impossible light remains inside of that hospital, like I documented. So Colton PD is engaged in gang stalking in the parking lot of Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. And again, that license plate 1454638 are substantially similar, but the police department in general is documented engaging in that P.O.C. License ASHMATT, Ash Matt. Ashley Samuel Henry Mary Ashley Thomas. And license, this is actually American Medical Response, AMR Ambulance, is gang stalking, as I'm documenting. License ASHMATT, crossing path with AMR. And this is upon departure from the Fontana Metrolink train station at or around 4:53 p.m. in the city of Fontana. Fontana Police Department at 4:58 p.m. crossing path, gang stalking while I'm aboard third party Omnitrans that's engaging in the P.O.C, which is also evident in video documentation, where I am documenting the fake sun that's in alignment with me when I'm in Fontana at San Bernardino Avenue and Juniper, where the sun is never going to be over me anywhere in Los Angeles at the same time of year, nor would it be over Woodside Senior Apartments, seen directly over the top of my head over that apartment building, where it's remaining for the duration of the day when I don't go anywhere, which is not the operation of a natural environment. It's the identification of the specific environment where criminal targeting by the government is underway. And this is revealing what Fontana PD is doing when I'm on Omnitrans on June 3rd at 4:58 p.m. crossing path with the people of the state, which includes license 30840, a handicap license plate. License 83019X3. License 6 Wendy Bobby Larry 074. License 8 Samuel Bobby Kangaroo 395. This is documented at San Bernardino Avenue and Elm, and the address is 18533 South San Bernardino Avenue. Again, the people of the state, third party facilitating venue, 18533 South San Bernardino Avenue. And this is license plate 8 Samuel Bobby Kangaroo 395, stalking in the path while I'm aboard Omnitrans, maintaining light activity and relevant positioning in concert with all the people of the state. I just so happen to get this license plate and the address where this third party is gang stalking with the entity. License 9 Paul Bobby Apple 166. Oh, and by the way, that's at approximately 5:05 p.m. And 9 Paul Bobby Apple 166 is at approximately 5:08 p.m., where I am being pursued from the city of Fontana to the city of Ontario. In the city of Ontario, where the entity is following Sabah Towing, that's Sabah spelled S-A-B-A-H, Sabah Towing, that is engaging what is the malicious and criminal misuse of a business in order to facilitate criminal monitoring, federal group stalking and monitoring by the state, by the government, which is unlawful. And it is Sabah Towing, California license 045097, and the vehicle license plate is 24880 Xavier 3. They're engaging the P.O.C. while the fake sun is remaining over me while I am at Mountain Avenue and Hope Boulevard, walking east on Hope Boulevard, and the fake sun is no longer covered up. And it is shining on my back, remaining over me as I walk toward Starbucks at 706 West Hope Boulevard. And this is a third party in that specific environment that follows me from place to place, identifying stalking by an entity and using light activity in the middle of the street, and also maliciously using the business, the towing services itself, to engage in that pattern of conduct. Sabah Towing, again, license plate 24880X3, and a criminal misuse of a license to engage in business of towing, California number 045097. License 18620 Xavier 2. License 6 Thomas Bobby Edward 408. And Ontario Police Department, also gang stalking. I documented on this day, June 3rd, 2025, the fake sun outside of the window of the Starbucks at 706 West Hope Boulevard. Upon my arrival to the Starbucks where the fake sun is over me, the entity is maintaining the amplified plane activity, which is occurring over that Starbucks in Ontario at 706 West Hope, the intersection of San Antonio and Hope Boulevard, maintaining the specific environment, identifying state surveillance. And on this day as well, what you're listening to is helicopter activity as I exit that Starbucks at 706 West Hope Boulevard, simultaneous with what is exposing federal stalking. Helicopter activity, the outward demonstration of mental illness by the gang stalking police, who commenced to flying in a circle at the specific environment, Starbucks at 706 West Hope Boulevard, as I am publishing simultaneously on my communication device on the internet the kidnapping in totality that occurred on May 29, 2025. And this is, again, when I'm in operation of my device, when I am publishing incriminating conduct. The entity that is gang stalking in planes and helicopters is engaging in targeting at that Starbucks at 706 West Hope Boulevard. This is the entity that is engaging in that targeting conduct, as you can hear in the background. It's amplified in volume while the people of the state are pacing around, while I'm documenting the people of the state that are gang stalking in the same way that you're listening to. This is exactly what the people of the state are engaging in from city to city. The city of Colton to the city of Fontana to the city of Ontario that committed the kidnapping, which is the state of California. Okay, this is all juxtaposed with what the city of Los Angeles is engaging in, where the entity is keeping a fake sunrise until sunset, where LAPD is gang stalking using the hallmark, targeting with helicopter activity, and doing so in a manner that is juxtaposed with the same pattern of conduct as the state of California in San Bernardino County is in that specific environment. And this is embodied in what is everything that's happening, on June 3rd, 2025. This is the people of the state acting directly and vicariously, gang stalking from the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center to what is the state Starbucks located at 706 West Hope Boulevard. And this is where the entity is maintaining that pattern of conduct into the evening, which I also document. This is P.O.C. pertaining to the kidnapping on May 29, 2025 that continued until June 3rd, 2025, ending at approximately 2:39 p.m. upon my release from a kidnapping, where the government has no authority under the law. The government is continuously exercising fictitious authority while it is monitoring, keeping me under surveillance, and targeting with the intent to obstruct justice regarding my evidence that sits on the record, and it remains untouched with regard to these criminal tactics to criminally defame and kidnap. In addition, this is relevant to documenting the people of the state who are identified by license plate in different cities, and the same P.O.C. remains underway, and it is for the prosecution of that entity. This is P.O.C. This criminal summoning by Colton PD at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. It's 400 North Pepper, engaging in gang stalking. License plate 9AEL358. 8CFP193, 7CRJ597, 9RQR701, and the siren sound the moment that I open up my phone and begin recording. This is federal stalking as well. Omnitrans, Victor Valley Transit, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center that just engaged in a kidnapping that I documented from May 29th until today's June 3rd, 2025. Arrowhead is still gang stalking after engaging in a kidnapping. License 9GQ G244 8HDT 379 9MLJ 614 8MDF 724 BULMRTN 8YDZ 329 LPZ CRW 8LVU 050 5HAU 980, the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center of the entire hospital and the bus stop, and this is including all of the parking lot, engaging what is pacing, the impossible light activity under the guise of what is amplified thunder, impossible audible activity, the amplification under the guise of amplified thunder, impossible light activity under the guise of what is the lightning itself that's just appearing in the sky space. It is as supernatural as the fake sun remaining over me. This is Arrowhead Regional Medical Center that's already documented under the fake sun in 2022. This is Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, which is San Bernardino County, committing an additional kidnapping. Colton Police Department is also gang stalking, crossing path as I turn on my phone, power my phone, and the moment that I begin operating it, that's when siren sound, that is criminal summoning. Colton PD is engaged in federal group stalking monitoring as inside of the facility while I'm kidnapped. The entity engages in what is amplified helicopter activity that I documented on several occasions while Arrowhead Regional Medical Center personnel were pacing an impossible light activity. Colton Police Department, the entire police department, specifically license plate as well, including 1541499 at approximately 2:55 p.m. And the department is gang stalking at the facilitating venue. It's currently 3:42 p.m. on June 3rd, 2025. This is a kidnapping initiated by the Ontario Police Department and Tracy Banks at Woodside Senior Apartments, who are together engaging in the ongoing pattern of conduct while the kidnapping is underway, and still gang stalking, which is evidence of a kidnapping that I just was released from. The entity is still gang stalking. This is P.O.C. at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes, and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C., and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, it is 5 o'clock on the dot, as you can see right here. And this is operated by third-party group stalker employee number 4021 on what is Omnitrans, heavily documented gang stalker, where the entity is proving that in the specific environment which is maintained on the bus. This is Route 61 at 5 p.m. where I am at the intersection of San Bernardino and Juniper in Fontana, California, where American Medical Response, Police Department, the people of the state. This is 9720 Juniper Avenue in Fontana, California, where I've documented the fake sun over me on this venue, Omnitrans, at all hours of the day. But in addition to that, the entity is keeping the fake sun at 5 p.m. over Woodside Senior Apartments, where the entity engaged in a kidnapping on May 29, 2025. See as the fake sun turns as the bus turns, maintaining perfect alignment for the entirety of the route. And this is what Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is engaging in. It's kidnapping pursuant to the same exact entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It is entirely impossible that the natural environment includes the sun being anywhere over what is Woodside Senior Apartments, over the building, the apartment building, for 11 hours, and being seen out of the window of Omnitrans Route 61 going in any direction, in any other location, when you're identifying the pattern of conduct that the entity committed with regard to kidnapping initiated by Tracy Banks initiated by the people of the state at Woodside Senior Apartments and the Ontario Police Department, and engaging in that continuation of kidnapping by the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where the entity, in concert with the people of the state and the state acting at that San Bernardino County venue, engaged in that P.O.C. And that is evident through the fake sun being over me while I'm en route coming from Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. It's currently 5:02 p.m. This is P.O.C. And that is the fake sun right over the bus. This is the P.O.C. that remains underway, and this is not going to be over units 49 through 64 at 408 West G Street in Ontario, California. That's an impossibility, but it is in conformity to the pattern of conduct of recognizing gang stalking by the demon-possessed in the demonic environment that remains over me. And that is where the city of Colton, the city of Fontana, the city of Ontario, the people of the state of California are engaged in what is a kidnapping as an entity that is very much aware that I'm documenting criminal surveillance of a satanic nature with the intent to obstruct justice. All right, this is P.O.C. It's currently 5:03 p.m. The entity is at what is intersection now Citrus Avenue and San Bernardino Avenue, and this is maintaining that presence over the bus for the entirety of the route, like I've documented Omnitrans, a gang stalker. This is attributed to the gang stalker Alan D. Wapner, very heavily gang stalking with regard to the Ontario International Airport as well. Everything on the bus is activity creation. The speaker, the stop requests, the people of the state getting on and off in the specific environment, which is evident by the fake sun as well. This is P.O.C. Alright, this is 703 D Street at campus. This is the fake sun turning as we turn. And Omnitrans is deviating from its traditional Route 61 in doing so, and deviating from that route at the moment that I turn the phone on. The fake sun is not sitting over units 49 through 64 at Woodside City Apartments, as I'm inside of unit number 51, where that light source is rising over that same apartment building at 6:33 in the morning, and it is still present as I'm capturing on video, for example, at 6:03 p.m. and at 6:18 p.m., which is again in excess of 12 hours remaining over the same building. And as I'm coming from Colton, California, where the Colton Police Department, the city of Colton, the Fontana Police Department, the city of Fontana, and the Ontario Police Department gang stalking a whole boulevard while the fake sun remains in alignment. Remember, in this specific environment, it's nothing other than activity creation. This is surveillance. And this is the light source that's remaining in perfect alignment like it was in Fontana at 9720 Jennifer Avenue. Opening and closing the door does not create sunlight ricocheting in and out. This is surveillance that Omnitrans is engaging in. The fake sun remaining over at the Ontario International Airport. The entity is maintaining this light source, which is not over the Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, like I'm documenting in June of 2024 as well, where LAPD is engaging in the pattern of conduct, which is documented and published on the video of the internet. This is also not over Woodside Senior Apartments. So just want you to see, this is indeed impossible light. This is my shadow. This is not over Woodside Senior Apartments. This is remaining over me as I'm on the roads and the highways where federal stalking is underway. And this is surveillance in the sky space. There you go. This is what the entity is doing when it's flying over Woodside Senior Apartments, where you are not engaging in what is a perpetual flight hovering over the city of Ontario when you're taking off from Terminal 2 or Terminal 4. That's crossing path, which is what they're doing at Woodside Senior Apartments, where the plane's over me at Woodside Senior Apartments. That's the Ontario International Airport gang stalking. All right, and at that elevation, they're not hovering at a lower elevation than going over Woodside to engage in that conduct. It's called crossing path under the light source. This is P.O.C. License 9BXL538. License 7TGS526. In every street, turn for turn, the light source is remaining. The entity engaging in a sunrise and the maintenance of a fake sun over one apartment building at Woodside Senior Apartments is speaking to surveillance that's underway by the people of the state, as that supernatural occurrence then deviates to remain over me in conformity to that documented pattern of conduct. This is government action, and the government engaged in a kidnapping with the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, acting via third-party gang stalker Tracy Banks, with the intent to obstruct justice and criminally defame. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:09 p.m. and this is again at what is Holt Boulevard. All right, here's Ontario PD gang stalking at Starbucks. The traffic is a means of relevant positioning, and the Ontario PD has been flying in a circle right here adjacent to, this is the 706 West Holt Starbucks that I've been documenting when I'm living in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens, and the fake sun is rising in my living room window at the same time that it's over me at Starbucks in Ontario. That is where the Ontario police that engaged in kidnapping with Tracy Banks on May 29, 2025 are engaging in the P.O.C. All right, the entity is doing so while I am publishing the podcast right now. So this is same time, federal stalking, 8:03 p.m. You'll see the podcast is updated right now with regard to the Ontario police that committed kidnapping. It's on video, which will be published online. They're going to federal prison, and they're also going to federal prison because they're engaged in federal stalking. The entity engages in the P.O.C. with the people of the state while you document and publish it on the video of the internet. This is the same police department that engaged in kidnapping with Tracy Banks, all right, at Woodside Senior Apartments and with Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. Those medical professionals gang stalking with the state of California at that hospital where the entity was keeping the fake sun, and the entity is engaging gang stalking me on the way back to Ontario. Those medical professionals are going to federal prison. It includes Dotla, who's gang stalking with the Ontario police, who assert what are malicious assertions with Tracy Banks while they're engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. This is, again, while I publish it online, which I just did right now, it's 8:04 p.m., simultaneously pacing. This is demonic pacing. This is Mike Lorenz's mental illness exhibited. He's a demon, and so is every other person that's employed, including the demons that are inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, which you will listen to on podcast, and it's also published in video. Captured in video, which will be published on the video of the internet. This is exposing public corruption in the city of Ontario, which is the state of California's P.O.C. It is at the very heavily documented Starbucks where I'm at. That's relevant to where the entity is pacing in helicopters, and the people of the state are in engineer light pacing. This is very demonic. And this is while they're being documented for kidnapping on May 29, 2025, which concluded today. The kidnapping ending on June 3rd, 2025, and the entity engaging in that P.O.C. with real-time knowledge that is being documented. This is demonic pacing. This is P.O.C. You'll see images uploaded to the Google Drive. The fake sun is in perfect alignment with me while I'm sitting inside of the Starbucks. That's how you understand that the Ontario police is gang stalking, but you already know that. They're capturing years of evidence of engaging in psychopathic demonic pacing in helicopters while the fake sun remains over me and engineer light is always present. And they're doing this at this time right now because I just published the podcast regarding criminal defamation by this corrupt gang stalking police department in concert with Tracy Banks inside of her apartment. Tracy Banks is going to, again, a mental asylum for gang stalking with that police department, and doing so with the people of the state. That's called crossing path. And this is where the fake sun was in alignment. I took a picture of it. It's in perfect alignment with me, low hovering to be in alignment with this window at what is under no circumstances going to be over Woodside Senior Apartments and over the Starbucks. And it's also not going to be over, like I documented in Los Angeles at this time of year, at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, California, where the LAPD is engaging in the same exact pattern of stalking using helicopters. That's criminal surveillance by the corrupt gang stalking police departments. Ontario police gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments, where the entities engaging in surveillance at that senior citizen complex. And that's what Starbucks right now as a commercial venue engaging in the P.O.C. with the people of the state. License 8YIJ495, license 7PQN127, 706 West Holt Boulevard. And I've documented the license plates of the people of the state at Starbucks who are engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct. This is again at Starbucks in Ontario, California. This is P.O.C. That's criminal conduct by the gang stalking entity, the Ontario Police Department, engaging in criminal surveillance as the evidence is published online. Simultaneously, the demonic pacing, which is relevant to psychological torture when you are documenting the demon-possessed gang stalking you. It is currently 8:07 p.m. That's P.O.C. All right, this is called amplification. That great distance you see, the demon-possessed are gang stalking where they live, and the helicopter is amplified from here, and this is following from Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard to 650 F Street in Ontario at 9BQG074 24317F2 20806Y2. This is called gang stalking while the people of the state are maintaining relevant positioning, and the entity is gang stalking by helicopter. This is P.O.C. There's the fake moon right over my head.
Already, and they were flying in circles at 706 West Holt Boulevard. That's literally traditional stalking in helicopters, and it's identified through the maintenance of the specific environment, the engineered light, the impulsible light activity, the amplification. The helicopter that is amplified at that volume is supernatural. That is a demon at that is engaging in what is gang stalking, which is committed with the people of the state. This is third-party facilitating venue 650 F Street in Ontario, California. Again, license 9BQG074 24317 Frank 2 20806Y2. The people of the state are engaging in surveillance just like they were at Starbucks, as the entity is engaging in what is pacing in a helicopter in relevant position. As I published the podcast, including the kidnapping that occurred by the same gang stalker police department at Woodside Senior Apartments, where the fake sun rises and sets, where the Ontario police engages in what is flying over my head while that fake sun remains for every hour during the day, including flying over the top of my head while that 10:54 a.m. fake sun remains on May 16, 2025, and again at what is 5:45 p.m. where that fake sun is still over the same apartment building, but yet you're seeing it outside of the window of the Omnitrans Route 61 bus at 5 p.m., which is not going to be over the apartment building, where identifying demons who are stalking using helicopters. This is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department that committed another kidnapping in 2025 with Tracy Banks, who represents the people of the state. This is P.O.C, and this is evidence of following from place to place. West Holt Boulevard to, again, what is 650 F Street in Ontario, California. This is P.O.C. The people of the state will go to federal prison for this. It's not just going to be disbanding the Ontario Police. You're paying attention to what is the same exact focus on me where I'm at. And as I'm documenting license plates, 1LV4FAM, One Love for Fam, is gang stalking. Flying over my head again. And the people of the state are in all of their homes engaging the pattern of conduct. This is what the U.S. government's going to be prosecuted for. License plate 7YSF737 is crossing path, engaging in surveillance at light activity, relevant positioning, and this is demonic pacing when you have more than one patrolling. 9RUX264, and they're gang stalking with the police department. This is public corruption. And this entity engaged in kidnapping together. They're engaged in surveillance together. They engage in obstruction of justice together. They engage in criminal defamation together. They engage in criminal summoning together. And the specific environment is what ties the demon possessed together that are gang stalking. This is the Ontario police that engaged in flying over my head in this direction, and then flying in a circle, flying back over my head in this direction, and the demons are engaging that's demonic pacing. So I'm both exposing the stalking using helicopters, which is proven in the specific environment, and I'm also showing you how the demon possessed are exhibiting the fact that they are indeed demon possessed while they are stalking together as an entity. This is P.O.C. This is 650 F Street in Ontario, California. It's a facilitating venue. As you're prosecuting the people of the state, you're subject to federal prison. You're not hiding in your homes. You're identified and documented in your homes, where you will be subject to federal group prosecution for domestic terrorism and psychological torture. And you will be subject to federal prison when you do so with the gang stalking police who target American citizens in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, just like the Ontario Police Department committed on May 29, 2025. All of those police officers inside of that apartment with Tracy Banks, they're going to federal prison. And this is the entity that's gang stalking with them. This is P.O.C. This is crossing path. That's not exercise. It's P.O.C. It is currently, again, let me show you, 8:22 p.m. where the Ontario police is following in helicopter. P.O.C. License 8TCN 596 8ZSW223 94874D1. 8GLC840. This is the people of the state gang stalking with the Ontario police, who you just listened to on video, following me from Starbucks, and that following conduct is proven in a helicopter in the specific environment, which is the supernatural maintenance of that environment, and that is evident in what is the images of the fake sun remaining over me from Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where the entity committed a kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice, and the entity relies on what is the criminal act of seeking to defame your character by making up information, which is what they did on May 29th. And they're doing so in the face of the documentation that is on the internet. And this is immediately prompting what is a tactic to try to render illegitimate evidence that stands on its own. It's never going to render illegitimate the evidence of the pattern of conduct, but it's also relevant to what is knowledge that the entity is being documented, and also what is relevant to malice and the intent to kidnap. That's the purpose of gang stalking and kidnapping by the police with the people of the state. 7MDG829.
7PHJ558. The people of the state are engaging in terrorism with the Ontario Police while I document license plates in writing, and the entity arrives in helicopter. And I put that in air quotes because the Ontario Police is gang stalking right now. They fly over your head, fly in circles to communicate a threat while they know that you're documenting, just like they did moments earlier when I published the podcast included on May 29th regarding the kidnapping. And immediately the entity, the demon, begins flying in a circle in the helicopter. 6YYH407, 9RDF123, 9FYF732. This is the people of the state sharing in domestic terrorism and psychological torture as an entity. This is what Woodside Senior Apartments is doing as a senior citizen community, which is evident in the sunrise and the sunset at that apartment complex, specifically over the building, including units 49 through 64, where that supernatural occurrence remains, which is evident for what is stalking as an entity, a corrupt entity engaging in public corruption. 8ZMW045, public corruption in the form of what is stalking one person together, which demons are doing. 15939A2. 96453Z2. And it's currently, by the way, 8:25 p.m. License 8BZE282. The people of the state are gang stalking with Tracy Banks. This is one entity. Tracy Banks is one demon whose name I know. She's the people of the state. The entity engaged in kidnapping together. That's why you have the entity engaging in that maintenance of the specific environment, and also the hallmark of stalking in helicopters, 8WIH109. It is a criminal conduct, what is speaking to the world's ability to know that Mike LORENZ is a demon, number one, and also that he is very corrupt. He's engaging in what is the grandfathered system of federal group stalking and monitoring, because it's not a coincidence that Derek Williams was engaging in the same criminal pattern of conduct as I documented since 2018. This is license 9RUX264. Stalking in the path with light, just being in your driveway with the lights on, that's stalking in the path with light activity. It's crossing path as I walk by their home, which is a facilitating venue, 6HOK237. The stalking conduct, remember, when the government is stalking directly, it is pointing directly to the people of the state's engagement in that criminal pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are all engaging in federal stalking under Title 18 together. All right, so the red Chevy that you see crossing path on video is stalking in the path. Audible activity. Light activity, 7YSF737 is the demon that you see crossing path while the Ontario Police fly over, and they are gang stalking at what is 549 F Street in Ontario, California. That's a demon that turns their vehicle lights on as I approach, crossing path. And they're on video gang stalking with the Ontario Police, which entitles them to federal prison. That's P.O.C. That's impunity as it's evident as well. It is currently, by the way, 8:26 p.m. And that's referring to what you'll see on video is the red Chevy crossing path, engaging in the elements of monitoring in concert with the Ontario Police. And as I crossed in their venue, that address that I just read, the vehicle lights are used as a means of stalking in the path with light, 7UVT225. And it is stalking in the path with regard to understanding gang stalking. It is the maintenance of the specific environment, stalking with light, stalking with presence, and that presence is criminal in a specific environment that's designed to maintain monitoring. Stalking by the police, who are also providing evidence that everyone is stalking as well with regard to the demonic system of criminal monitoring. License 6VDB905, and this is the entity that committed the documented pattern of conduct with regard to criminal defamation and kidnapping as an entity. This is P.O.C. It's 8:27 p.m. and the Ontario Police are following from place to place. YY8407, I believe. 9LRT215 is absolutely correct. It's 8:28 p.m. crossing path as I stop recording. That's called stalking with activity. All right, the people of the state maintaining light activity everywhere, but I'm documenting a method of flashing light activity, so I'm going to document people of the state, license plate. The Ontario Police is still gang stalking right now. License 6LRV709. And the entity is maintaining a method of flashing light
That's the demonic pattern of conduct like you see UPS engaging in on May 29, 2025 under the afternoon sun. That's after 3:30 p.m. And that's the same parking lot where you'll see the fake sun as I provide you that related content on YouTube. That same parking lot at 10 o'clock in the morning, that fake sun is over that same parking lot. Understand the significance of flashing light. License 7WHU692, it's very demonic. It's relevant to monitoring. It's relevant to surveillance by the people in the specific environment. 6PNF385, it's within the behavioral pattern and it's psychopathic. It's a demonstration of demon possession under a fake sun and an engineered light and amongst amplified audible activity. 8GZF796 with amplified traffic, sitting in the path, waiting for me to walk by to engage in while they're stalking and waiting with a method of flashing of lights. And then as I walk by, the entity is moving the vehicle, which is a means of engaging in the elements of monitoring. It's currently 8:30 p.m. It's P.O.C. It's it's Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. This is the same entity that commits a kidnapping. So when I'm walking toward the venue of Woodside Senior Apartments, this is the same entity that's monitoring my vagina when I remain inside of unit number 51 at Woodside. This is the same entity now that I'm outside of documenting them. This is what I've been documenting for years. And this is the same entity while I'm inside of the apartment together, monitoring my vagina, monitoring all the documentation, stalking as an entity while the fake sun in all of the nation, because the entity is engaged in the very stupid act of stalking under a fake sun that remains over the apartment building at Woodside, but not when I'm coming from Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. It's outside of the window of Route 61, which I'm documenting in Fontana, and I'm documenting again when I'm on the same route. Moments later, 9HQA989, that's a molestation by a sex offender, engaging in what is lying in wait to touch you with light, as opposed to traffic and waiting to get to a cross path. They're engaging in the P.O.C. All right, that sex offender's license plate, 6DLX836. That's again 6DLX836, amplified audible activity while the demon possessed or hostile to being identified as the sex offenders that they are, lying in wait at a stop sign so that they can molest your body with light while they're stalking. And the fact that they're all stalking is the Ontario Police following from place to place in helicopter in a specific environment. License plate, federal stalking underway, 9DEA773, an operation of their communication device they're sharing in surveillance. This P.O.C, this is the entity that is, again, like I'm stating, when I'm inside of the apartment and I'm documenting amplified audible activity, I'm documenting the entity stalking with commercial planes over the apartment complex, with helicopters flying over at 8:49 in the morning, flying over at 10:54 in the morning, flying over at 11:40 in the morning, flying over at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, flying over at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, flying over at what is 5 o'clock in the evening, 5:57 in the evening, 5:45 in the evening. Every hour of the day, the fake sun is documented over this one apartment building, and the entity is engaging what is stalking in a different region, showing you how the Ontario Police is gang stalking with the people of the state everywhere in the city of Ontario in that specific environment. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 8:32 p.m. License 2254 TT1, license 9DKE750. This is the entity that's gang stalking with impossible light activity, and doing so while there is no explanation for engineer light just moving across the apartment building. This is P.O.C. It's currently, again, 8:32 p.m. Alrighty, it is 8:33 p.m. Tracy Banks in Woodside Senior Apartments. Just with regard to isolating a venue, criminal surveillance isn't ongoing at one venue, but just with understanding the entity that's being prosecuted. As I arrive at this venue, the entity's been documenting the whole time. You're dealing with the same demonic spirit through what are a multiplicity of faces, while that criminal pattern of conduct, which is evident in the behavioral pattern in that demonic environment. So it's getting past the superficial veneer of, well, you're getting to that venue and you're just now in their presence. No, they're maintaining presence. They're stalking as an entity. Tracy Banks been stalking the entire time from the night that I was kidnapped, literally from Starbucks till right now. And this is the entity engaging that P.O.C. I have multiple shadows. I've already documented on video at Woodside. That's Unit 41, stalking with the voice of minor children, while I have 3 upright shadows. And Tracy Banks is inside of the apartment, gang stalking with the people of the state. This is the same entity that went into that engaged in kidnapping. It's currently 8:34 p.m. All right, and that includes the Ontario Police following from place to place. The Ontario Police are gang stalking vicariously with the people of the state. And I am at Woodside Senior Apartments. Hello.
Got a bag to get your stuff?
Yeah, I can get some stuff.
Your pads and all that is in here and your cords.
Okay.
This is yours actually. You needed it or not. Those are yours. Yeah. That's yours. There's another earring in there.
Let me see, what time is it? 8:38? See, on my laptop.
Where's my toothbrush? It's in there. One of these bags.
I need to see it.
Your slippers. Look in there. It could be in this one.
And which one?
It could be in that one. Check that one. There's your cup.
Yes, It's 8:40 p.m.
Yeah. I can't, I got, hello? Hello? Erica's here. She's getting some of her stuff. Yeah, I will. All right, bye. How come you're not taking all your stuff? Erica.
I'm
Here.
looking through, I'm inspecting my stuff.
Nobody touched your stuff. It's the same as when you left.
No, I don't put holes in my clothes.
I'm just telling a whole bunch of lies. Get your
Not
stuff
really.
and go, Erica. Come on. Stop playing.
No, just like there was no medication either. You're the one that lies. That's not me, that's you.
You know what? Get your stuff and let's go.
And you don't have any scars on your face either, like you told them. That's a lie as well.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it
is. No, it's not.
No, those are the
You're just
regular
saying
bags.
that and you're recording.
I
So you
sure
can
am.
just stop
You
that.
can stop
you can just
touching my
stop.
phone.
You can just stop
Honestly,
recording
you
in
can
my
stop-
house. You
you
don't
can
have my
stop.
permission.
You don't have.
Get your stuff and
I'm
get out.
getting it.
Hurry
don't
up.
get mad
Get out.
because you're a liar.
I'm not a liar.
You ain't got no scars
You're
on your
the liar.
face. You're
Crazy.
getting locked up.
Get out. No, I'm not.
Yes,
Not
you
by
are.
you.
You're getting locked
Only
up,
body
and
gonna
all
get
your
locked
lies
up
are
is you.
documented.
Get out of my house.
All your lies are documented.
Get out of my house.
And the reason why you're lying
Take your stuff
is
and
because
get out.
you know exactly what's
Get
being documented
out of
about
my house.
you.
Go
You're
on.
a psychopath.
Takes
You're a
one to know one,
psychopath.
doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It takes one to expose one.
Okay, right.
That's what you, because I know the mind of a psychopath.
Is
I've
that
been
why
living
you
with
called your
one.
father?
Who told you that?
He did.
When?
Don't worry about it.
What does that have to do with, do you think you got me on something? What does that
I
mean?
didn't get you
Does
on
that mean that
nothing.
you're a psychopath?
I didn't get you on
Does that mean
anything.
you're a psychopath?
Is that why you called
Is
your
that why?
father?
Is that
Because you thought he
relevant?
was going to help you?
Is that why you,
He can't
is that
help
relevant?
you. He can't help you either.
Is that why? Is that relevant?
He can't help
Does
you
that
either.
mean that you're a psychopath? Why are you
It
bringing that
has
up?
nothing to do with that.
Does what you just
Has
brought it
nothing
up?
to do with
Like
that.
you got some point. You're a
He has
psychopath, like I said.
Get your stuff
You're
and
a
get out.
psychopath.
Get your stuff
Lying
and go.
about medication that you
Nobody's
need to
lying.
take. Yes, you did.
Nobody's lying.
Yes, you
That's
did.
not what the
Name
officer
the
said,
medication.
stupid.
No, you're the stupid one because
No,
I
I'm not.
documented it.
You didn't
fool.
document
Yes, I
nothing.
did.
You didn't even hear the
Yes, I
conversation
did.
correctly.
But I'm gonna stop talking to you because you're the fool that's
He
been
asked if
exposing
you had
yourself. You're a
medication, I
liar.
told
That
him
it
no.
speaks for itself.
Whatever.
It speaks for
Get your
itself.
stuff and get out.
It speaks for itself. The reason why you're mad is because you're shown to be the psychopathic stalker you are. Okay, obsessed with my
That's why
vagina.
you're unemployed
Stalking
in my house.
Why?
Get your
Right?
lazy
You're
butt
mad.
out. Get out.
You wish you
Get
could be
out.
who I am.
Don't nobody
Please.
wanna be you.
You
You're
have a high
unemployed
school
psychopath.
graduate.
Get out.
Ain't nobody unemployed.
Get
You're
out.
stalking on the job,
Get out.
Satan.
Get out.
You're a demon.
You haven't worked
You,
for a
you're,
year.
you're
Get
a liar.
out.
It
Get
ain't
out.
been no year. You
You
don't
ain't
even
worked
have
for a year.
facts
Yes,
straight.
I
No,
do.
you don't.
You quit June of last year.
That's not, listen.
Yes, you
why?
listen.
And why?
You listen.
Why is that?
You listen.
What am I documenting in June? Since you know that my dad, I'm calling my dad, do you know what else I was documenting?
Because he called me to
why
ask
you
me
talking
why were
about?
you calling him.
You know what else I'm documenting?
I told him I don't know.
So what is that? No,
He
let's
should
go
have
back.
answered you.
Why you're admitting to
He should have answered
me
you.
quitting my job. Why is that?
He
Satan?
should have answered
Why is
you.
that? Because
Get
the
out.
LAPD flying over me like they are at
Get
your
out.
apartment?
Get out.
Right? While you're
Get
a
out,
demon,
Erica.
this is
I
a
don't
demon
wanna argue
speaking.
with you. Get out.
You already are.
Just go.
Sitting around lying.
Get your
you're
things and
mad.
go.
You ain't got no scars on
I
your
am
face.
not mad.
You talked about medication
not
that doesn't
mad.
exist.
Nobody
You're the
talked about
psychopath
medication.
gang stalker. That's why you're making
You
it
are.
up. You're the one, and your co-defendant stalking the helicopter the
Get out.
entire time.
Get out.
You're getting locked up.
Get
I am
out.
getting my stuff.
Get out.
That's why I'm here.
Get out.
That's why I'm here, and that's why you're
Looks
mad.
like you're going through.
That's why you're lying about stuff, but
Get
it
out
don't
of my
make the
apartment.
evidence. I will.
Get out.
I am. I'm getting
Hurry
my
up.
stuff. No, I'm getting my property.
Hurry up.
Because that's not how you do an eviction. If
Get
you wanted me
your-
out, you shouldn't have lied about medication.
You
You
know
should have
what?
been trying to damage my property
what?
and then lie about it to try to get me kidnapped.
Get
And it ain't
out.
gonna stop it.
You know what?
Everybody's
You
gonna
can
know that
yell
you're
all
a
you
demon.
want. Get the
You're
fuck
one
out of
lying.
my house.
You're the one that's
Get
lying.
out.
You're the liar.
Get out.
You are the liar
Get
and
out.
you're the stalker.
You got no proof
You
of what
are
you
the
say. You can
stalker.
record all you
Honey,
want.
you're the
You
one
are
that's
a
talking about.
psychopath.
You know
Get
about
out.
the P.O.C.
Get out.
When did I tell you about the P.O.C.?
Get out.
What does that acronym mean? 'Cause you
know
don't even
what?
know what an acronym is.
You know what?
You're
It's
a
all-
liar.
It's all on YouTube. I can
You're
look at it
but
myself.
That's called evidence, huh?
I can use-
That's called evidence. You're the one that's been
Nobody
having
a hoe but
sex.
you, unemployed
No,
hoe.
you've been having sex with Jason Isaac Fields, my friend, right? When did you meet him?
You're
you
a
got you got a
psychopath.
baby with him
You're a
somewhere?
liar.
No,
I'm
you're
not-
a psychopath. A 50-some-odd-year-old
I
woman having
stopped
sex
having
with me and
babies.
Aaron's friend. You're a whore.
Your
and a
mother?
old one.
You calling
You're
your
a
mother a
whore.
whore?
You're having sex with
Get
my
out.
friends. You're a
I'm
lying
calling the
hoe.
police. I want you
You're a
to
lying
fucking
hoe.
house.
That's why you mad.
out.
That's
Get
why
out.
you're mad having
Get out.
babies with friends of mine secretly and they gang stalking somebody. How about your baby that you got with him? How about that? Having sex with Jason Isaac Fields. Am I lying about that too?
I don't know.
Yeah,
you.
you're a liar.
I don't
You're
know
a
you.
liar.
I don't know
You're a
you.
liar.
Get out
Talk
of my
about that.
house. Get out and don't come
You're
back.
a lying hoe. Sitting around sleeping with somebody's high school friends. You're a hoe. An old one.
You
An
are
old lying
such a
hoe.
crazy
I don't
person.
think so.
Nobody
Don't
know
think so.
Jason. Get
You're
out.
lying.
Get your stuff
You're
and
lying.
get out.
I'm getting my stuff.
Get out.
I'm
Hurry up
getting
and
my
get
stuff.
out.
I got a right
Get
to
out.
keep.
You ain't got no right now.
Yes, I do.
Get out.
Yes, I do.
Get out.
Yes, I do. You set up and lied and kept my property, and I'm getting my property.
You got taken away in handcuffs. Get out of here.
And somebody that's lying about medication finds that funny. Somebody that has sex with your high school friends and then lies about it.
Get out.
His name is Jason Isaac Fields. She's been having sex with my high school friend for years. She's
Get out.
pathetic. She's a liar.
Get
And
out.
she's jealous of me
Get
documenting
out.
her that she's a demon
Get
because I've
out.
been blowing the whistle
Get
of the
your
federal
stuff and get
government
out.
while she's gang stalking with the state, and she's mad and jealous and trying to get somebody to fame, but it doesn't work with
Get
the evidence.
out.
You're
Get
a psychopath.
Get out of my apartment.
You're definition of somebody
Get
that
out of
sleeps
my
with your high school
apartment.
friends. That's a definition of a
Get
hoe.
out.
That's a lying hoe. Sleeping with somebody's high school friends behind their back. I don't sleep with none of your old friends. I never had sex with Daryl, Mandy, and I never would. Never would. I ain't got no secret babies around here by Daryl. I don't sit around calling Amos ugly self, having sex with him. You the one calling my friends, stalking them, having sex with them behind my back, and then trying to defame me like somebody cares about what some old raggedy, wrinkly hoe like you has to say. And that's a hoe by definition.
You're dead.
You
to me.
are
Get
dead
out.
by
Get out.
definition.
You don't exist.
You're
Get out.
you're a liar.
Get out.
I
You
don't
don't
care.
exist.
You
Get out
engage
of
in
my life.
kidnapping with the police
Get out of my
because
life.
you're mad that I
Get out
don't
of
care
my life.
about telling all your dirty laundry.
Don't nobody
I don't
care.
care.
You're making it
I don't
up.
care. No, I'm
Get
not.
out.
No, I'm not. You've been
Get out of
sleeping
my
with Jason
apartment.
Isaac Fields, now making it up.
Get out of my apartment.
You've been doing that. You're lying about it, and that's why you're
I've
embarrassed
never
about
helped
it.
you again.
You
Don't
ain't
ever
ever
call me
helping. You ain't helping nobody
Don't
calling the
ever
police
call
and lying
me
about
again.
medication. That ain't helping.
Don't
You've been
ever call
gang
me.
stalking the whole
Don't
time. That's
call
what
me
I've been
no more.
documenting.
Don't call me
You've been
anymore.
gang stalking. You
Don't
ain't helping
call me
nobody.
anymore. You
You've
are
been
dead to
gang
me.
stalking.
Get out.
You've been gang stalking.
Get out.
That's why the
You
Ontario
just came here
police.
to cause trouble. Get
That's
out.
why the Ontario
Get out of my
police
apartment.
can call up and pull out their phone and talk about what's going on in this apartment because you a gang stalking whore. Sleeping with my high school friends, having secret babies with them. I don't want Jason. I would never touch him after you put your nasty old box on him. You're disgusting. You a damn pedophile.
Get your
You're a
psychopath
pedophile.
butt
I
out
don't
of
think
my
so.
house.
Calling names doesn't change the fact that you were having sex with him. You're a
Get out of my
hoe.
house.
It doesn't change it. You're the hoe that did it. Don't get mad. Face it. That's a fact. And me taking medication is not. You make up stuff, liar.
Get
Because
out
you're
of my house.
because you're a hoe. You are a hoe.
Get out of my
You
house.
are a whore sleeping with my high school friends and then gang stalking me thinking that I'm going to shut up about it and I
Get out
won't.
of my house.
I will not.
Get out.
I'm getting my property. Don't worry,
You're
I'm
not
going.
getting your
Yes, I
property.
am.
You called me that.
Yes, I am, and I'm
Get
speaking
out.
the truth while I'm getting my
Get out.
property. Yes,
You're
I
not
am.
speaking no truth.
Yes, I
You're
am.
crazy
I don't think so.
person.
You can call name
You
what you
are
want, but you
crazy.
can't
Get
spell
out of
nothing.
my- everybody
I'm not
knows you're
crazy.
crazy.
You having sex
Everybody
with
knows
Jason
you're
Isaac
crazy.
Fields is
And
a
your
fact.
site is going to be taken down. Your site is
listen,
going to be taken
Jason
down.
Isaac Fields,
Your
your sex
site is
partner,
going to
the
be
one you
taken
had a
down.
baby with.
Your site
that
is going to be
you
taken down.
having sex with Jason
Stupid.
Isaac Fields.
I only have 2 children,
You
stupid.
having sex with Jason Isaac Fields,
You're
my age,
stupid.
your
Get
son's
out.
age.
Get
Don't
out.
get mad because your
Get-
sex life
nobody's
is public
mad.
information. You're a hoe.
Get out of here. Get
You're a
out.
hoe.
Get out of my house.
You're a hoe.
Get out of my house.
You're a hoe. You're
out
not
of
going to
my
engage in
house.
kidnapping and criminal
Get out of
defamation
my
and then
house.
think
You
that
know
your
what?
dirty
This is
laundry ain't going to
senior
come
abuse.
out.
Get out.
No, I don't think
Get
so.
out
You're
of
a
my
liar.
house.
When you lie
Get
about
out
somebody
of
else
my
taking
house.
medication
Get
because
out
you
of
don't want
my
to engage in
house.
a rightful eviction.
Get out of my house.
Oh yeah, everybody's gonna know that you've been sleeping with
Get out
Jason
of
Isaac
my
Fields.
house.
Everybody's gonna know. You're an old hoe. You're a
Get out.
pedophile.
Get out of my
You're a
house.
pedophile.
Get out.
You're a pedophile.
Get out.
You're a pedophile.
Get out.
You are a pedophile.
Get
Does
out.
Eric know? Eric knows you was sleeping
Get
with
out.
Jason too.
Get out.
He knows his mom is a hoe. He knows you've been sleeping with our
my
friend,
house. Get
our peer members. You've been
out of my house.
stalking him, trying to get him to have
Get
sex
out
with
of
you.
my
He knows
house.
that. You was trying to use
Get out of
witchcraft
my
on him.
house. Get out
I'm
of
getting.
my house.
I'm getting.
Get out of my
I'm
house.
getting.
Get out of my
I'm
house.
getting.
You
Don't
came
worry,
here
I'm
with all
getting.
these lies. Get out.
No, I don't
Don't
think
ever
so.
Come back.
I don't think so.
Don't ever come back.
Don't think
ever.
so. Listen, you
The
live
next
on
time you're on
welfare.
this property, they're going to arrest you.
Listen.
They're going to arrest you.
You are living on
Get
welfare.
out of my
you
house.
have sex with my high school friends. You are no prize, okay? You wish you would have went to college. You wish you would have went to law school. You wish that Jason liked you.
You're dead
You
to
don't.
me.
You had sex
You
with
are
him.
dead.
You look dead.
Get out
with
of
them
my
bags under your
life.
eyes.
Get out of my
you
life.
and your
Get out
nasty
of my life.
high school.
Get
listen,
out of my life.
You have sex with high
Get
school
out.
boys.
I told you to get the
You
fuck
have
out. Get out.
You have sex
Get
with
out
high
of my
school
house.
boys.
Get out of my house.
You have sex
You
with
have
high
no
school
right
boys.
to be here. Get out.
And then you're mad and
Get
you're
out of
triggered
my house.
because your whoredom
Get out of my
is
house.
public
Get
information.
out of my house.
I'm going. Getting
Get
my
out of my house.
information.
You're not going fast
You're
enough. Get
triggered.
out.
You're triggered
Get
because
out
you're a
of my
hoe.
house.
And
Get
this
out.
is the demon that lied about
Get out of my
medication
house.
because she's engaged in what is gang
Get out of my
stalking
house.
and she knows it is being documented
Get out of
and
my
she's
house.
gang stalking with the
Get
Ontario
out.
police that followed
me from Starbucks to her apartment, and she's engaging in what is being triggered right now because she's a whore sleeping with my high school friends. Jason Fields, who I do not speak with no more, and never did. All right, she's a hoe, and that's what you need to know with regard to this gang stalking fake mother. She's gang stalking with everybody that's on her phone, including the Ontario Police Department. The Ontario Police that are on video following me to this video. And this is the psychopath that tries to use the fact that I'm gang stalked on the job, and you should resign when you're being gang stalked at work, trying to use that as a means to defame. This is the same psychopath engaging in that same P.O.C. This is called criminal summoning. She's going to a mental asylum anyway.
In Ontario, number 51.
That's the Ontario Police who are gang stalking by helicopter.
She was supposed to be coming to get her stuff.
This is the Ontario Police that's gang stalking by helicopter. This is criminal summoning. All right, so this is Tracy Banks that's gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. And this is because her sex life with my high school peers is being published on the video of the internet. And remember, there is relevant context besides her engaging in gang stalking. It's relevant the fact that she's having sex with friends of mine behind my back, and she's engaging in that P.O.C. She's engaging in the pattern of conduct while she's engaging in what is a criminal summoning because she's humiliated for engaging in what is the the system of gang stalking with the same police that she's engaged in summoning. All right, that made up information about schizophrenia, about bipolar disorder, about what is medication while I'm documenting the P.O.C. So that fake son that remains over this apartment building speaks abundantly for itself when she's calling the Ontario Police Department who's gang stalking with her. This is the same P.O.C. that they engaged in on May 29th while that entity is maintaining that specific environment, and the entity is engaged in this P.O.C. with impunity. Okay, and calling the Ontario Police who are gang stalking while I'm en route here and gang stalking right now via criminal summoning. The entity is engaging in she's engaging in sexual activity with Jason Fields, who I went to high school with, because she's humiliated for her whole activities. She's not only a demon, she's not only a gang stalker, she's a whore. All right, so this is the entity, this is the fake mother that's engaging in harassing me and criminally defaming with the same Ontario Police that she made up allegations with on Thursday. And while I'm getting my property, which you tried to damage, I'm going to get my property and then I'm going to leave. You can call the police all you want.
You're not leaving, you're talking.
Yes, I am.
Get out.
I'm getting my property.
Get out.
I am.
Get out.
You're the one that's yelling.
Get out.
You're the one that's damaging my property. You're the one making up allegations.
Get out of my house. Get out of my house.
Because you're a hoe.
Get out of my house.
These are the tactics of those that are gang stalking with the police. That's the tactics of those that are gang stalking with the police. This is why you document them stalking.
Tracy Banks.
In Ontario at the Starbucks.
She's unpacking her stuff instead of packing.
And what is also
And leaving. She needs to leave.
this is criminal summoning.
No, she does not.
This is criminal summoning. This is what they were doing with the Ontario Police on Thursday.
Yes, because they took her away on Thursday.
All right, taking me away pursuant to what is criminal summoning. All right, this is somebody that's embarrassed because she's shown to be gang stalking and having sex with my peers and targeting me as well. This is P.O.C. And I've already been documenting the fact that she was having sex with Jason Fields. And doing so, what is engaging in what is the P.O.C. with the same Officer Torres and L. Martinez, who are gang stalking as a police department engaging in criminal summoning when she called them for no reason, walked into the apartment stating, oh, you have to go, and I'm calling the police after nothing happened, referring to Linda Ray. I documented that on the podcast. And you're also going to hear on video what you hear when the officers are going back and forth. Well, who mentioned medication? He mentioned medication, and then she said, oh, I didn't mention medication. Oh, so the officer just mentioned medication on his own while they're both going back and forth and can't get their life straight. That's the same Ontario Police that's gang stalking, has been for years. Criminal summoning, as this demon engages in it, is because she is fearful of that documentation which is exposing criminal conduct which is beyond any ability to manufacture, and the entity uses it as a means to obstruct justice. And what Dotla engaged in with Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, can't even make up information to establish mental illness after subject to criminal summoning. That's why he's going to federal prison as well. That's understanding how the conspiracy is acting together. It's the absence of coincidence when the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct of criminal summoning via criminal defamation and then seeking to kidnap by manufacturing mental illness. All right, that's what's relevant regarding what Tracy Banks is engaging with the Ontario Police. All right, this is federal stalking that the Ontario Police Department is engaging in. And this is, again, the unapologetic exposure of a witch and a demon who's a violent sex offender having sex with my peers while she's engaged in gang stalking. One of my peers includes Jason Isaac Fields. He's my age. He's my brother's age. Eric Corey Spencer. She's been having sex with him. And she's embarrassed about it. And all she can do is yell out, "You're a liar. You're dead to me. Get out." Like she was lying and calling out crazy. I think crazy is when you're having sex with your peers, because I'm not having sex with none of her 60-plus-year-old. I'm in it. Oh, the website that you said doesn't exist?
Oh, yeah.
The one that you said doesn't exist? Oh, so now you're admitting that you do a website exists? A website that I didn't talk to you about? Is that because you're a gang stalker? Engaged in federal stalking? Yeah, that's an admission by a high school graduate that doesn't understand the significance of evidence. When you document, this is again somebody that's very highly unintelligent and merely maniacal and engaging in criminal conduct that's documented every step of the way. All right, and this is the government that's threatening to obstruct justice while this high school graduate states that she's going to have the evidence against her and the government removed from the internet. That's a delusional psychopath. So this is P.O.C, by the way. The same P.O.C with impunity. Those demons inside of this apartment on Thursday, talking about things that don't exist, such as medication, prescriptions, none existing, no history. There's also no scars on her face. There was never any battery. She was damaging my property like she is now while I'm engaging in what is my right, but she engaged in an unjust way, an unlawful eviction. That's not an eviction. And you are supposed to give written notice. She did it through the police who are gang stalking with her. That's also part of the evidence that's already on the record. And while she did that, this is the entity engaging in criminal summoning. And this is, again, pointed out because this demon is having sex with people like Jason Isaac Fields, and she's embarrassed about it. It's pathetic, but it's the conduct of someone. This is a Jezebel spirit. This is a demon. This is not a mother. This is Satan. All right? She's gang stalking, having sex with me and my... Well, Eric Corey Spencer's a blood relative, but me and Eric Spencer's peer. Jason Isaac Fields went to high school with us, and she's having sex with him.
Get out of my
having
house
sex
right
with
now.
him and doing so while targeting me.
Get out of my
All right,
house.
and then doesn't want it spoken of,
Get
and
your
then
things
calls the
and get out.
police. Calls the police because I'm repeating it over and over and over again, which is
Nobody
already
cares.
on the record. Yeah, they do.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, they do.
You need to read
Yeah,
your
they do.
comments.
Yeah, they
You need
do.
to read your
There's no
comments.
comments. You're a bad liar.
You need to read
You're
your
a bad
comments.
liar.
Yeah, they say
You're a bad liar. There's no
you're
comments. You
crazy
said that
when you
before.
Yeah,
Just
no
stating
way.
it doesn't make it the case.
Yeah,
It doesn't, because there's no comments.
out.
There's no comments,
Get out.
Satan.
Get out.
But there is a
Get your
reality.
things and get out.
You had
The
anal
rest
sex with
I will
Jason.
give you.
You had vaginal sex and oral sex with Jason. He's been all over your holes in your body. You're a whore. Yeah, that's
Get
a
out,
fact.
Arthur. Get out.
That's a fact.
You can't hurt me anymore
That's a
because
fact.
you're evil.
I don't care.
Get out.
I don't think so. You call me
out.
evil, but you're the one
Get
calling
out.
the police
Get
making
out.
up stuff.
And I'm gonna
You're the
call
one
it.
talking about, and I'm
And
glad
I'm
that
gonna
you're
call it.
openly. Go ahead.
And I'm gonna
Because you're
call
getting
it.
locked up.
Stop opening
Getting up.
unpacking,
You're getting
get
locked
your
up.
Stuff and get out.
You're getting locked up.
Get all of your bags. Otherwise, I'm just going to throw them in the trash the rest of the meeting.
All right, that's a threat to engage in.
That's right.
Yeah,
Get
go
your
ahead.
stuff and get
That's
out.
fine. It's being documented.
Get
That's
out.
fine.
I don't care.
I'm
Get
glad
out.
that you don't care.
I've asked you,
But it's being documented. You should have done this before you engaged in kidnapping. So I'm gonna go through my property. You can call the police all you want. You're still a whore having sex with Jason Isaac Fields. It doesn't change that. I don't care. You
And
did
you're being
it. Why am I? No, I'm
disrespectful. Get
not.
out.
You're
Get
disrespectful
out.
having sex with
Get
my
out.
peers
Get
and
out.
gang stalking
Get
me.
out.
Gang stalking me.
Get out of my
All
house.
right, and that's so-called
Get your
mental
stuff and
illness.
get out.
They're not able to prove
It's
it in
real.
court. You
Yeah.
made it up.
Okay, we'll see.
That's why I'm here.
No, they have record of
No,
it.
that's why I'm.
Because
That's
you were
why
arrested
I'm here.
for 6 months. They have
A
record of it.
kidnapping by the
They
same
have
police you're
record of it.
summoning.
No.
That's why I'm here, Satan.
Get out.
That's why I'm here.
Get
Because
out.
there's no mental illness. You're a fool.
out. Get
You're a
out.
fool and a
Takes
bad
one to know
liar.
one.
No, it
Takes one to know
doesn't.
one.
It,
Get
no,
your
it
bags
doesn't.
and get out.
It
Why
doesn't.
are you moving
It does
around?
not. That's
Get
all
out.
you got as a response. It takes one to know one.
Stuff and get
No, it
out.
doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's why I'm here.
Go.
Because
Get
there's
out.
no
Take
mental
your stuff
illness.
and get
That's
out.
why I'm here. In case
Get
you didn't
out.
understand what that means.
Get out.
In case you don't understand what that
Get out.
means.
I don't care. Get out.
Yeah, you do.
Get out.
Yeah, you do.
Get out.
Because you're sitting up lying.
Get out. Get your
So
stuff.
you're crazy. No, calling the
Here,
police on
get
somebody doesn't create mental
Take your
illness.
stuff and get
Just
out.
calling you ain't even no mental
Don't
health
talk to me
professional.
anymore.
You can't even spell schizophrenia.
Get out.
You want to talk about
Get
mental
out here.
illness?
Get
Count
out.
about how many people done been
Get
inside
out.
of your box.
Get
You're a
out.
nasty old
Get out.
hoe.
Why are you
Having
worried about it?
sex-
Don't worry
Ain't
about
nobody
it.
worried about you.
Get
Don't worry about
out.
this type of
Get
stuff.
out. Go.
You're the one that he had sex with.
Get out.
Girl, bye. Nobody have sex with some old woman like you.
Not welcome. Get out.
Nobody cares.
Get out.
You're on welfare.
Get out.
You have sex with my friends.
Bitch, I work.
I don't
Get the
think
fuck
so.
out of here.
You have sex with my
Get
friends.
out.
You're an old whore.
Nobody cares.
You're an old
Nobody
whore.
cares. Get
You're
out.
old whore. And you're
Get
triggered.
out.
You're
Get
triggered
out.
because you're a
Get
hoe.
out. Get out.
You're triggered because
Get
you're
out.
a
It takes one to
hoe.
know one, bitch.
No,
Get out.
I don't think so.
Get out.
That's
Get out
not
of my
how that
house.
works.
Get
I
out.
didn't jump on Jason and
Get
all your
out.
friends. That was
Get
you.
out.
That was you.
Get out. You can say
That
whatever.
was you. It's the
can say
truth
whatever.
though. Because
Get
that's
your
exactly
things
what Jason would say. He knows what this old woman's vagina
Get
looks
out.
like.
Get out.
You're the pervert.
Here's your stuff. Get out.
You're the pervert, not me. You're the pervert, not me.
Get out. Get your stuff and get out. Come
wants to engage in kidnapping and then think that you're going to no, you're going to be an openly exposed whore that has sex while you're gang stalking your daughter, being a whole fake mother and a demon. Engaging in that because you're mad, because you're being exposed. Yeah, this is the heights of dysfunction, but it's not dysfunction born by me. I didn't have any kids that I'm gang stalking. I didn't have any kids whose friends I'm having sex with. I didn't have any kids who I'm making up the fact that all of a sudden they got mental illness. And she's throwing up so what I called my dad. What does this gang stalker refer to my dad for? Again, because she has nothing relevant to speak about. And this is why you're engaging in what is hostility. Hostility for being documented for the P.O.C.
Get your stuff
and doesn't like to talk about things that aren't convenient,
Get out.
like having sex with me and Eric's friends. Okay, I sure am, because you did it over and over.
Get out.
You did it over and over and over.
Get out. Go.
You did it over and over and over.
Go. Get out.
Excuse me.
Get out. This cannot stay.
No, excuse me.
Get out.
Excuse me. That's
Get
not how
out.
you engage in an
Get
eviction,
out.
and I'll be getting my property.
Get out.
You called the police
Get
and
out.
made up allegations
Get
that are
out.
false. That's not how you conduct an
Get
eviction.
out.
You don't know that either.
Get out.
You're a lying hoe.
Never helping
That's
you
not
again.
that's not help.
You
Gang
are not
stalking,
helping
calling the
me.
police. That's not help.
Get your
You're a
stuff and
fool.
get out.
You don't engage.
Here,
No, I
get
don't
out.
think so. That's not how you conduct
out.
an eviction. You are
Get
out of
out.
the bounds of the law.
Get out.
You again by
Get out.
gang
You're not a
stalking.
lawyer. Get out.
What do you think
Get
a lawyer
out.
is?
Get out.
What do you think a lawyer is?
It ain't you.
It's not you.
It ain't you.
Have you sat in a
It
law
ain't
class?
you. I don't need
Have
to.
you ever?
Get
you
out.
don't need to be a lawyer?
Get your stuff and get out. Go.
You're
Here.
a lawyer? What
Take
law
your
class?
bag.
What law degree did you get?
I don't need to talk to you.
What law degree
I
did
don't
you
need
get?
to talk
What
to
law
you.
degree
Get out
did
of
you
my
get?
apartment. Get out.
Does it make you a
Get
lawyer
out.
to have sex with them?
Get out
Is
of
that
my
what makes you a
apartment.
lawyer?
Get out.
Having sex
Get
with
out.
them?
Get out.
Having
You
sex
are
with
a
them for
demon.
favor?
Get out.
No, I don't think so. Sam.
Get out.
You
Get out
don't
of
have
my
authority.
apartment. Get out.
Is that what makes you a lawyer, having sex with them?
Get out of my apartment.
Did you go to law school?
Get out of my apartment.
Did you graduate from law school?
Don't worry about it.
Did you take the bar? Okay, I didn't think so. All right, she's the one that's engaging in what is heavy. Hello. How's it going? She's a little dysfunctional.
Check her. I want to make sure she doesn't have my phone. Are you security guard?
Ain't nobody checking
You're
me
not
for
coming back in
nothing.
here. You're not coming back in here. Get
Ain't
out.
nobody-
You're
ain't
not
nobody-
coming back in here.
This is
Call 911. She's not coming back in here.
this is my property.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is my property.
She's not coming back in here.
This is my property. Excuse me.
Call 911.
Hi. She already
Call
called 911.
911. No, I didn't.
Yes, she did.
Call 'em.
I
I can't
documented
find my
it. She's
phone.
a liar, so
I can't find
she's
my
a
phone.
liar.
She has it.
But she's
Call
lying
911.
again. But this is my property, and she's engaged in what is
She's
damaging
harassing me.
it.
She doesn't live here.
She's a
She
liar.
needs to be gone.
She's a liar, and this is why I document. I'm documenting you right now because she's a liar. But like I said, she just
She
got
has
off
been
the
barred
phone.
from the property. Call the police.
That's not true. She called.
She's been barred from the property.
My
per the
property
manager.
is in the apartment.
Get out.
My
No.
property's in the apartment.
Nope, she's not getting it.
My property is in the apartment.
Call the police, please. She's been barred.
Linda. She's keeping my property in the apartment.
No, I'm not.
Yes, she is. There's a bag in there. It's my bag. It's my property.
Did you call the police?
She engaged in what? And
I need the police here to get her off the property.
It's currently, by the way, it's 9:03 p.m. and this is again the delusional psychopath, including what is a third party who's crossing path with her in operation of a communication device, keeping my property locked in the apartment and making accusations again that are false. She's engaging in what are allegations regarding what I'm stealing her phone. This is a false accusation by a paranoid schizophrenic who's making allegations about medication that doesn't exist, like she did on May 29th. Okay, P.O.C. Remember, the entities engaging in this. Excuse me. So this is my. Are you calling? Okay. He's calling the police that were engaged in gang stalking by helicopter. All right. So this is again the reality of engaging in that P.O.C. through relatives. And this is, again, a fake mother who is a actually mentally ill psychopath who engaged in criminal defamation and is monitoring with the people of the state. Remember, this security guard is a third party and engineer light. I've got multiple shadows surrounding me while he is feigning ignorance and stating, yeah.
Office?
Is that the officer?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Ontario Police?
No, this is not Ontario Police. This is the supervisor for the security company.
Oh, okay. Well, the resident here has my property locked in the apartment. That's what he was trying to tell her. But my property's inside, and she's making allegations. She's throwing my property outside.
Oh, okay. So maybe you want to call the cops for her?
She said she already did, but
Oh,
I think she was telling him, and maybe he didn't understand. But what I'm saying is that she's locked my property inside of the apartment, while she's talking about calling the police on me, and my property's in the apartment. And not only that, she's putting me out without me being able to do something with my property. So this is let me just be speaking. This is a hello. Yeah, she's very highly dramatic in order to attract attention, in order to have the police here again, which is a means of harassment that she's repeatedly engaging in. She just made an allegation about me stealing her property, which I did not do.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so just want to let you know that's what she's including you in. And I am documenting because she's engaged in a pattern of harassment and making false allegations against me.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Okay? Just want to let you know. Thank you. All right, that's amplified train activity at what is 9:06 p.m. And I want to be clear, what you're listening to, Tracy Banks is the psychopath that's engaging in sexual activity while the security guard walks away. His shadow fans across the same window where the fake set is remaining over this apartment all day long. This is a psychopath that's gang stalking with all of the neighbors, including the security guard, amongst amplified audible activity and possible light. And she is making allegations, which you hear that I stole my phone. That's exactly what she did with regard to medications that don't exist. That's exactly what she did with, and remember, the Ontario police are gang stalkers as well. They know that there's no medication. They know when my panties are down. They also know that she's engaged in waging false allegations while they use criminal summoning as a means to arrest, which is a kidnapping when you're engaging in criminal surveillance. All right. It is currently 9:06 p.m. And this is the entity at Woodside with the residents and the third-party security company. Tracy Banks is very much triggered because, first of all, I took a picture. You will see the absence of any scars. Datla of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center testified in that court exercising fictitious authority that the officer and Tracy Banks stated that she was hit, she was punched, and I hit her in her face, and she has scars on her face. That was a lie. I never hit her, and there's also no scars on her face, which you can see today on June 3rd, 2025. Not only that, this is pursuant to what is monitoring. The police were in the apartment that's filled with engineer light. The police were in the apartment where the fake sun remains all day long. The police were in the apartment where they engage in what is gang stalking, psychological torture with amplified audible activity, just like what's happening right now. And being on the phone and calling the police is the illusion with regard to criminal summoning amongst the same gang stalking entity that is following me from Starbucks to Woodside Senior Apartments via helicopter. Okay, Tracy Banks is very much psychopathic, and I am also embarrassing her. So don't be mistaken. Yes, I am absolutely embarrassing her while she's had sex with my peer, my age, as old as her son and daughter, Jason Isaac Fields, engaging in what is having a baby with him. This 50-plus-year-old woman, she's now over 60, and engaging in what is sexual activity with friends of mine while she's obsessively gang stalking me and having sex with my friends in doing so. I absolutely am embarrassing her. And what does she retort with? Her retorts are including what are illusions, what are malicious regarding what is mental illness. And the entity is engaging what is asserting the illusion of mental illness against me in the specific environment. They're gang stalking in doing so. This is, in other words, a high school graduate that's, while she's talking about, I'm not a lawyer, I am a lawyer, I am legally trained, I'm not paying my fee. I don't have to even defend myself, but not paying my fees is not the loss of my licensure. This is somebody that wants to be me, and that evidence is in her having sex with people like Jason Isaac Fields, who I formerly befriended. The fact of her gang stalking her own daughter, the fact of her being embarrassed of it and engaging, I'm calling the police, you're dead to me, you're a demon. This is a demon that's talking about you're a demon. This is somebody that's in the specific environment. The evidence of the P.O.C. at her apartment is the evidence against the people of the state. The evidence of what the entity is doing at Woodside Senior Apartments, which is exactly what I'm subject to at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, is the evidence against this entity that's engaging in the same P.O.C. Damage to personal property, while this is somebody that is a whore and is embarrassed about her whoredom being published on the internet. This is the government that's also threatening through this high school graduate that she has the power to, again, over evidence that she claims one day she doesn't know about, and on the next day, where a delusional psychopath is very short-sighted and forgetful, is admitting to knowledge about it, and that evidence she's going to have removed. Okay, evidence that she state doesn't exist as well, because there's no evidence of anything that I'm stating, anything that I'm addressing about her. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. So it is understanding what is a family dynamic that is dysfunctional, but this is not a family, this is a demon. And I'm exposing the fact that she's a witch. She's been spiritually attacking me since I was a child. She is a pedophile, and she's engaged in the sex offense of gang stalking me as an adult. And she's also embarrassed because she's being exposed for having sex with me and Eric's peers. And Eric is not exposing her for being a sex offender, for being a pedophile in that way, for being a pervert like that, but I am. Okay, for her to be on the phone calling the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario Police are gang stalking. Everybody that's in that video on May 29th is going to federal prison, where they're arguing about who brought up medication. They're arguing about who said what about medication, and I'm asking them, who told you anything about medication? Where did that come from? Because I don't have any medication. I've never been. And why do you inject that into the conversation? Because you're trying to defame somebody. And it doesn't work. You know that you're listening to demons who are gang stalking. It's the P.O.C. Okay, so that's the context. This is, again, nothing new to me. I do take it to the extent to embarrass the demons who are gang stalking. Her license plate is 9HUZ740. She's not helping me while she is gang stalking me with the entity and then engaging in criminal summoning, criminal defamation. Because she's hostile and very fearful. Remember, my documentation is published now on X. It's published on and accessible through what is not only Instagram, I've been on there, but I published it recently as of May 28th to not only X, but to, TikTok. Okay, now as I expanded my platforms, this demon comes home, no interaction, no conversation whatsoever, and I immediately started recording, so you'll hear it on the podcast for May 29, 2025. She's immediately just stating, oh, you have to go. You have to go because you need your medication and you're acting out. You can hear what she's saying, quote for quote. This is somebody that's very fearful and hostile as well because I'm documenting. It's directly relevant, in other words, to the documentation that I'm publishing online. And the demons are very fearful of it as I publish that. So this is one person that is, again, acting as the entity, summoning the Ontario police who are going to be disbanded, engaging in the malicious pattern of conduct of criminal summoning. And Datla of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is engaging in kidnapping, not ignorantly, but maliciously and knowingly, with regard to not only a documented pattern of criminal defamation, which is not the existence of a pattern of documenting mental illness the entity is targeting. But not only that, it is also shown that Datla is maliciously engaging in kidnapping by criminal defamation because Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is the specific environment. All right, so it is currently 9:12 p.m. This is the entity engaging in what is criminal summoning, harassment. It's in the engineer light. It's amongst what is the entity that is gang stalking with impunity. She's on her communication device yelling out all sorts of insults. Don't be distracted by that. I'm not distracted by somebody that has sex with my friends because she wants to be me. She wants the attention that I get. This is a demon that's obsessively stalking and is also at the same time very delusional with regard to wanting to obsessively conceal that. But the fact that she's gang stalking, which is a proven fact, is exposing it. And I'm also going to let you know about the details. She has sex with friends of mine, ex-friends of mine, like Jason Isaac Fields, okay? She's old enough to be his mom. That's relevant to the sex offender that she is as well. It is again 9:13 p.m. This is Woodside Senior Apartments, and they are going to be subject to federal prison. They engaged in kidnapping. The same units, 33 to 64, on May 29, 2025. Ontario police arriving is ongoing corroborating evidence about what they do on a ceaseless basis, which my evidence independently already established. All right. The entity engaging what is called the police is the entity that uses the police to threaten you and kidnap you and criminally defame you. This is P.O.C. What time is it? 9:20? But thank you for arriving. What's your name?
Fagunda? Yeah, it's a hard one.
Fagunda? Oh, okay.
You can bring the bag. Yeah.
I can bring it back?
No, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You don't live here yet, right?
No. So do you...
Yeah, I think we're done.
Are you gonna...
No. I
Between you and me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No worries. So don't forget.
I'm not.
Before 8
If after 8:15, right?
Sounds good to me.
No, that's not true. I'm clearly outside, and she has a pattern of calling you guys and making up information. That's why I have to document it. Go ahead. But
No.
that's why I'm making sure that this is, I guess, put away out there.
No, I
And
think
as you can see, officer, I'm calmly talking with him. Yeah, she is. But what she's telling you, she's got a pattern of calling you guys and being dramatic and making it up. I just dealt with the situation with that. That's why I'm documenting it. But you can see me. We were calmly talking out here, right? No fighting, arguing. It's a reflection on her. But it's a problem that she called you here. She's making up information. That's the pattern, is what I'm stating. Yeah, thank you. You're such a good problem solver. I'm outside, right? Before you got here. What's your name again? Fagunda? Fagunda? Yes. Okay, what's your badge number? 20177. Thank you, state actor. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
All right. You too. Are you going to put it away like right now?
No. I'll take it.
Okay.
You see me tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
8:15.
8:15.
Okay.
And if not, then you can go ahead and do what you got to do with it. You can throw it away. Okay. That's Fagunda. That's gang stalking with. Thank you. That's gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department that followed from place to place, arriving pursuant to criminal summoning is how they engage in what is the P.O.C. They're very psychopathic because they're already stalking and monitoring, and then they arrive like, oh, what's going on here? Those are the demons in Engineer Light. Those are the demons amongst amplified audible activity. He is molesting with impulsible light while he is engaging in what is arriving. Fagunda with that badge number. License. That's vehicle 1056, license 1644197. This is P.O.C. This is P.O.C. And this is, again, multiple shadows. So here's one, here's two, here's three. That's not calls from headlights. This is a demon. Tracy Banks is calling the Ontario police, who are gang stalking, following from Starbucks to what is the People Estate on F Street. The vehicle 1056, license 1644197. The vehicle is moving in engineer light. He's monitoring. The Ontario police following from 706 West Holt Boulevard to the People that stayed on F Street, gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments, which you see them doing while the fake sun rises and sets over this apartment building. This is where the entity engaged in that same department, gang stalking using helicopters, gang stalking as an entire department, engaging in surveillance, and the malicious pattern of conduct is to engage in what is summoning. Oh, I need the police to come here. The police that are already monitoring with them. That's relevant to the specific environment. Now that you see the headlights are gone, you see this one shadow that still remains. It's impossible light activity that it's upright on the vehicle. While he is molesting me, that's a sex offense. I have multiple shadows that are upright and the engineer light protruding in that direction. That is a demon. Gang stalking with the demons of Woodside. That includes Tracy Banks. License 982Z740. This is the specific environment where that Ontario police engage in kidnapping, making up information about mental illness. This is speaking to reform of the system, making up information about medication just to get it written down and have you arrested. It's not mental illness. And then you have medical facilities like Arrowhead Regional Medical Center and the demons who are gang stalking at that facility, which is the specific environment, engaging in that kidnapping as an entity, manufacturing and feeding off of the necessarily manufactured information by the corrupt people and the police who are gang stalking. They are then changing hands, kidnapping together. This is how Tracy Banks is engaging in targeting, and Tracy Banks is interested in criminal defamation, which is a failed tactic to render illegitimate the evidence of criminal surveillance and the demonic activity of what is gang stalking. But this is the entity, the only tactic that the entity has, and it's directly relevant to unveiling and revealing criminal surveillance. Okay, Chief Segunda, I documented him on podcast, and he's gang stalking, and he's engaging in that P.O.C. with the people of the state, okay? That is the entity that is gang stalking as an entire entity, where this apartment complex, all 144 units, engaged in kidnapping together. They're engaged in what is criminal obstruction of justice with regard to the purpose of kidnapping. They're doing so while they know that they are being documented, while surveillance on my communication device remains underway. That's revealing very highly psychopathic, that is malicious behavior by a corrupt government that has no probable cause or warrant to keep you under surveillance and to literally stalk you while the gang stalking system is underway. And I literally documented the Ontario police as the specific environment remains, stalking from place to place as I go from the Starbucks. And you already know that Woodside Senior Apartments is a gang stalker. Okay. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:26 p.m. That's criminal summoning. That's exactly what was underway on May 29, 2025. And the entity is engaging in this P.O.C. with the police, and that's why Linda Reyes is going to federal prison. That's why that's exactly what I stated is the case. That's exactly what I stated is a pattern of conduct. And the entity is engaging in this environment. Here's my shadow over here, and here's my shadow over there. This is where the demon possessed are going by the name of Ontario Police, engaging in surveillance, gang stalking as a police department in reliance on the criminal engagement by the people of the state. My shadow is moving to the side of me. My shadow is moving on this side of me. That's not caused by the light fixtures. The Ontario Police Department are gang stalking with the people of the state. Tracy Banks is summoning them in the specific environment with regard to harassing, because I'm exposing. Number one, she is a gang stalking whore, having sex with my peer members who are gang stalking me with her. She is very much humiliated and embarrassed by it. It is the truth. That is relevant to, again, her obsession with me, which is why you have a gang stalking fake mother, because you point out or things that don't exist, such as because you say the word medication, because you say the word schizophrenia, because you say the word bipolar, because whatever word you say, that does not create, nor is that how you are diagnosing or addressing actual mental illness. This is what the gang stalking entity relies on. And it's relevant because it's happening in the specific environment. The environment that defies nature. One shadow. All right. The entity that is maintaining that specific environment, as you're looking at the real-time alteration, my shadow is moving to the side of me now. And you have the absence of that second shadow. This is impossible light activity. You can pay attention to the shadow of this. The light activity is relevant to engineer light. So this is this upright pole. You could look at the shadow that's coming toward me. That's magnified light, where the entity is engaging what is stalking in the path. Okay, and here's the two shadows here. So two shadows appearing and disappearing. This is surveillance that's underway. You can see it while it moves across the license plate, and this is the other one. This is P.O.C. The Ontario Police are gang stalking with the people. License 98UZ740 is Tracy Banks' license plate. She's gang stalking with all of the people of the state, and this demon is relying merely on criminal defamation. That is defamatory epithets coming out of the mouth of a third party, which is audible activity in the engineer light in concert with the state. Okay, and that's a psychopath of the Ontario Police gang stalking and engaging in what is very malicious, as though they don't know what's going on, and they know they're gang stalking you with the people, and they're pursuant to what is kidnapping as an entity, which is exactly why DOTLA of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is subject to federal prison, amongst others. They're documented, and I will be publishing it online. It is 9:28 p.m. This is P.O.C. at Woodside Senior Apartments. This is stalking with plane activity at G Street. This is what the entity would amplify inside of the apartment. Impossible light activity by the people crossing path on Fern Avenue. This is monitoring by the City of Ontario that just arrived by the Ontario Police Department. That's the City of Ontario gang stalking with the people of the state, who are the City of Ontario as the entity is gang stalking together. And that is what summoned itself to Woodside Senior Apartments, the demon possessed who are gang stalking. And the demon possessed are embarrassed because they were having sex with my peer members, and that's Tracy Banks' hostility, while she relies on what is the hollow use of criminal defamation, which is not disproving the fact that she engaged in whorish tactics such as having sex with my friends, which she's now embarrassed about being publicized, and the fact that she's also a gang stalker who engages in what is sexual activity with people of my age group. Okay, this is the entity that is gang stalking while I am at what is Fern Avenue and G Street, where plane activity is amplified. There's no planes that are taking off over this intersection. That's called audible activity that's amplified in volume, and it's also impossible to hear inside of the apartment at Woodside, like I've also documented, where the entity is rising and setting the fake sun, where the entity engaged in summoning the Ontario Police Department. That's malice, as I'm pointing out the criminal conduct, and then you're understanding how the corrupt system of gang stalking operates within the city as they target together. It's 9:39 p.m. where the City of Ontario is hovering in a commercial plane over this intersection, nowhere near Terminal 2 or Terminal 4, where any plane is maintaining a perpetual hovering presence over the city. You're taking off from the terminals and you're conducting a flight to a destination. Gang stalking is including what is hovering in the specific environment with regard to stalking with amplified noise. It's P.O.C. It's 9:40 p.m. All right, 30 seconds later, 9:41 p.m. Flying over 325 West G Street, the people of the state. A demon crossing path on the sidewalk with multiple shadows. It's the people of the state gang stalking. Amongst amplified plane activity, that's Alan D. Wapner. Also, Alan D. Wapner associated with the gang stalking of the Omnitrans, where you see the Ontario International Airport hovering over Holt Boulevard while the fake sun's in alignment to me. The Ontario International Airport's a gang stalker, which you also know when they're hovering much more north over Unit 51, where the fake sun remains over me at Unit 51 at Woodside Senior Apartments. That's P.O.C. All right, what you will see at 9:55 p.m. is images regarding the specific environment where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking with the people, maintaining aerial surveillance. And the engineer light, everything is activity creation. So that was audible activity that you hear that the people of the state intentionally maintain. These are demons engaging in what is surveillance as it's underway in the U.S. amongst the entity that is corrupt, engaging in monitoring, criminal monitoring. And this is the inspiration behind criminal defamation and kidnapping by the state, which is acting directly via, again, the people of the state, Tracy Banks, the people of the state at Woodside Senior Apartments, the facilitating venue where the kidnapping occurs on May 29, 2025.
and being released from that kidnapping today. The entity cannot establish actual mental illness. The entity can only put those labels on you, put you in a uniform, put you in the facility, and seek to kidnap you. Again, being able to exercise your rights and represent yourself while the entity lacks the ability to establish you under the law as mentally ill when they're merely calling you names and keeping you in the facility. This is the ability to withstand, resist it, and also expose it. It's directly relevant to the system of criminal surveillance. The entity relies on criminal defamation. This is how American citizens are being targeted in this country, by the way, and it is not mental illness at all. It is plaguing the entity is plaguing the targeted individual with such titles, which is supposed to have you automatically written off, discarded. With regard to the evidence of what I'm exposing about the state of California, the U.S. government, it's directly relevant in the entity's interest in trying to criminally defame, but it is not actual mental illness, and merely to attach that label to your name is failing with regard to how you would prosecute any case with facts and evidence. And that is, again, relevant to not hiding away from or dissolving away from. The entity that seeks to criminally defame is going to be put at the forefront of exposing criminal surveillance in the U.S. The entity is engaging in demonic activity, engaging what is targeting in supernatural manners, demonic manners, psychopathic manners, and seeks to engage in what is criminal defamation in order to conceal it, all right, to obstruct justice. And that is how the system operates. So that's directly relevant to what the entity is engaging in. And doing so while I'm documenting another kidnapping by the entity that is committed from May 29, 2025 until June 3rd, 2025. And en route from the venue, gang stalking never ceases. So this is what I was subject to inside of the facility of Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, where this entity that's gang stalking sought to merely keep me kidnapped as a mental health patient while I am subject to that pattern of conduct. I mean, pacing and impossible light activity inside of the facility, keeping the fake sun over the facility, gang stalking via amplified helicopter activity inside of the facility, while everything that they are stating, even while they are engaging in what is the practice of medicine in its audible activity in impossible light. It's the P.O.C. And that is speaking to the absence of any coincidental engagement with what is a failure of the medical practice. It's the malice of the entity that is kidnapping you, knowing exactly who you are and seeking to falsely depict your character. While the demon-possessed medical workers are in impossible light activity, they are specifically targeting with the purpose, the agenda, the objective to criminally defame, knowing exactly who I am and knowing exactly what it is that I'm exposing about them. And that specific environment is speaking to how that ongoing targeting system is tied together. That's what I'm exposing about Datla, who was gang stalking amongst during the course of a kidnapping with the intent to criminally defame, and using that position as a medical professional. In doing so, you will lose your you will lose your license to practice medicine, and you will go to federal prison for what I just documented at the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center engaging in today. And I documented the entity that is gang stalking, again, doing so while I'm remaining at Woodside, while I'm kidnapped from Woodside, en route to Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, and en route from Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. The P.O.C. is ceaselessly underway. That's directly pointing to why Datla of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, some sort of psychiatrist, is relevant to what is federal prison. That's a kidnapping, not some failure in diagnosis, not an accident, not an oversight, not a mistake. It's targeted conduct by the entity. And as sure as the Ontario Police are gang stalking, it is directly relevant to what Datla is knowingly and intentionally engaging in, and that knowing and that intent is proven in that specific environment. This is P.O.C. It's 9:59 p.m. 9RJU425 and quality control distribution, license plate 9G71582. Quality distribution is gang stalking with Starbucks. They are the company. I documented them gang stalking at the Starbucks in what was West Covina as well, present in the environment, providing what is their business services while engaging in the P.O.C. with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. When I'm in Pomona, California, I'm in Ontario, so they're doing so with the people of the state, the city of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department. In this specific environment, you'll see the images of my two sets of legs that are in front of me. The people of the state are gang stalking at the intersection of Euclid Avenue and I'm at Euclid and E Street, E as in Edward, where impossible light activity is present. Again, the impossible light activity, meaning multiple shadows, is not caused by light fixtures, is not caused by street lamps, is not caused by traffic lights, it's not caused by headlights. It's the engineered light that is present when all of them are stalking under a fake sun that also remains over me. It's the identification and what an entity is doing together, what a group is doing together, which is stalking one person. And recognizing that environment is proving stalking. It is currently 10:27 p.m. This is the entity that engaged in kidnapping together as well. Starbucks is gang stalking while it's closed. They have the people that stay inside of Starbucks crossing path. That's what I took a picture of. They're crossing path while they're gang stalking inside of their venue, which is not going to be limited. Prosecution is not limited to your business hours. As the entity is engaging in the elements of monitoring, as you can see the third party doing inside of the Starbucks in the specific environment, regardless of the fact that Starbucks is closed. Starbucks is open with regard to gang stalking, and they represent the people of the state, and also Starbucks is very heavily documented as a gang stalker as in addition to that. But the entity is doing so with regard to this third party. This is quality distribution, maintaining flashing light and that engineered light. All right, so this is how you're understanding how public corruption with regard to criminal monitoring is built into and embedded into the entity's society, where gang stalking surveillance is ongoing in the state. This is P.O.C. This is relevant, by the way, to what is Tracy Banks' criminal engagement in the P.O.C, engaging in what is an unlawful method of eviction while gang stalking. And it's also relevant because of the hostility toward being documented, but it's also what is the entity's tactic of an unlawful eviction with the police who are gang stalking as well. And while, like I stated while I was documenting on podcast, everywhere I'm going, Tracy Banks is still stalking. She's still gang stalking. And that's exactly what's underway while I'm documenting the same pattern of conduct. And then you have the psychopath, Tracy Banks herself, that's in the background, talking about how the POC is, there's no evidence of what it is that I'm documenting, but then she's also simultaneously recognizing, oh, your evidence is going to be removed. Well, what evidence that you just stated doesn't even exist? And in addition to that, she makes a lot of statements regarding the fact that she wants me to leave, but she's stalking me when I leave. Okay, that's the psychopath that's relying on what is just the word medication, what is just the word of mental illness, words that she can't spell, that she does not know the definition of either, and which are also abused by the medical profession in order to engage in criminal defamation. This is the entity that is stalking while the unlawful method of an eviction is utilized by Tracy Banks while I'm still being gang stalked, which I've been documenting the city of Ontario engaging in, by the way. I've been documenting the state engaging in. And that's how you're also recognizing what are demons. When you're stalking somebody that is not based on their economic status. Why are you stalking a homeless person? The entity, these are demons, and they are targeting with regard to knowledge of who you are. And who you are also is not based on your monetary status, especially when that is manipulated when you're targeted by the state as well. So I just want to be the entity is directly affecting your ability to engage in business like I documented being gang stalked at work at Alvarado Gardens. And then the demons who are, again, Tracy Banks is referring to, I resigned from my job and I documented exactly what I was subject to up until the date that I resigned in Los Angeles. And that has nothing to do with what this demon would like to use. Oh, you're a bum. You can't hold a job. This is what this demon would state. But none of that is the truth. This is somebody who is very, very envious and also desperate with regard to distracting away, deflecting away, because she's having sex with me and my younger siblings' peers, okay? And so I am embarrassing her, and she's bringing up the fact, oh, well, you don't work anymore. Okay, well, I was being gang stalked on the job, and I documented that, so it's not an imagination. There is also a criminal act of kidnapping me where you sought to criminally defame my character, and there is no mental illness. That's why I'm not still in that facility, because the kidnapping was unsuccessful. Because the entity engages in kidnapping, which it does to American citizens, and they may remain subject to that kidnapping, that doesn't mean that they're mentally ill. That's the point of exposing the criminal pattern of conduct. The entity was not able to keep me in that kidnapped state because the entity cannot establish under the law mental illness as I scrutinize under the law, but the ordinary target individual does not have that skill set, is not aware of their rights, is very much like enslaved by the notion of mental health and what it is that they state, and they're using ambiguous terms. They're using words actually that don't mean anything when you can't give specific facts and details, and when you are also having to make it up, when all the while they are demons stalking as an entity. That's directly relevant to that which they seek to manufacture about your character. Okay, the demons that are gang stalking me on the job are the reason why I resigned from my job. It's not any sort of basis for stating that you cannot, that I cannot hold a job, and that's never been demonstrated in my history. Neither do I even have to respond to this demon. This is a high school graduate who is over 60 years old, who's having sex with people my age because she wants to be me. And then she's embarrassed about it and is hostile and engaging in criminal summoning because I'm exposing it. Third party license plate. 6XNP544, I believe, and it's currently 10:32 p.m. This is documentation of the entity gang stalking, and doing so while the entity is maintaining that specific environment where I go. And this is why you are disbanding police departments like the Ontario Police, because they are currently using the resources of the police department to engage in what is following me around, following a woman around, and that is evident through the specific environment and the behavioral pattern of the entity, including that police department in that specific environment. It's very specific and unique with regard to establishing that a police department is stalking you, gang stalking you, and the police department is doing it with the people of the state, okay? And it's entirely demonic. It is currently 10:33 p.m. This is documentation of what is an unlawful eviction and what is also damage to my property because the entity that's gang stalking used that kidnapping in order to separate me from my property and then engage in an unlawful eviction, which was aided by the state. That is still gang stalking. All right, 10:33 p.m. I'm not at G Street. I'm on Euclid, where the entity is flying over on Euclid at a direction much more south than being over G Street, not being over Woodside. And that plane activity is impossible plane activity to hear when they're hovering over Woodside, which would be in the direction opposite from where I'm walking right now, from where I just came from. That's understanding targeting, and it's also recognizing targeting, because I'm going to take a picture of one of my two adjacent shadows next that are on the ground in front of me while the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:34 p.m. All right, like clockwork, demon is stopping in the path as I stop recording and take pictures. This is while I have the two shadows on the ground. You'll see a street lamp above my head that doesn't cause adjacent shadows. That's audible activity. The demon's pacing. And this demon's license plate that's flashing with light and engineered light, stalking with the City of Ontario, 5 George 93989. A demon that's stalking in the path, and the demons that are patrolling with him are maintaining the elements of monitoring together. It's demonic, and it's the City of Ontario. The Ontario Police Department is utilizing the resources of a police department to stalk me in concert with all of these demons who are following me from place to place. All right, that's why you're disbanding the Ontario Police. By the way, it's 10:35 p.m. and this is the entity that engaged in kidnapping because of the evidence of the criminal surveillance and their obsession. Remember, stalking is born of obsession. The entity that is gang stalking is obsessed with me. These are the demon possessed. All right, and their demon possession is also evident in their unmistakable, consistently documented pattern of conduct. And it's very demonic while they maintain flashing of light all around you, molesting you with impossible light, and things such as your shadows surround you in ways that are inexplicable and scientifically impossible. All right, the light source above me, the light fixture, that's a light source. The light fixture, that's the street lamp, does not cause my shadow to be does not create double shadows that are adjacent to each other in front of me. And the demon that's directly behind me with the flashers on, that's a demon that arrives with simultaneity, and they use their door closure. That's a demon, that's a psychopath. Think about, get into the mindset if you can. But what you're doing is you're lying in wait. You're sitting in the dark. You turn on your lights with your flashers. The moment that I begin operating my phone, it was simultaneity to planes hovering over my location, moving as I move. And with regard to what is the impossible light activity that's also coexisting with your presence, and you use the sound of a car door closure to monitor. That is with simultaneity, the car door closes as I begin taking pictures of my two shadows on the ground in front of me. That's a demon whose license plate I read.
and that's a demon stalking in a commercial plane. And these are demons driving who are pacing together in engineered light while they are creating audible activity, amplified sound of their traffic. It's amplified. They're monitoring. And again, what Tracy Banks is stating with regard to wanting me out of her apartment, this is a demon that's hostile to being documented and also very fearful. But also understand she is stalking me when she is kicking me out. Get out, I want you to get out, and she's stalking. She's stalking wherever I go. She's gang stalking. She is a stalker, and she's literally been, I've literally observed her stalking me since I was younger, but now I'm documenting her for gang stalking with the government. And this is what the entity is doing, and that's what's so sick about Tracy Banks, which you hear her stating. And as I leave, she is stalking. All right, so she represents the entity stalking. Okay, it is currently 10:38 p.m. That's the Ontario International Airport, flying over while I'm on Euclid Avenue, where they are feigning taking off perpetually everywhere in the city where I'm at. And during the day, you recognize it because the fake sun remains over me while they are engaging in conduct such as they are perpetually taking off wherever it is that I am at in the city of Ontario and not taking off from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4. They are also not over Woodside Senior Apartments or in any location where they are going to fly over Woodside Senior Apartments and be in some sort of position where you're taking off over there when you are engaging what is taking off, rising in elevation over Euclid Avenue. This is stalking as it's identified through the city airport. License 8JSB 513. It's 10:38 p.m. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:40 p.m. Molesting. License 9LHD 490. 9AQA 709. CNG 8655, that's Washington. HALLDON. 9TFL 865. These are demons that are engaging in what is pacing in the specific environment. I have 3 shadows around me. And they are stalking in the path while they maintain the elements of monitoring via traffic, systematic monitoring with the people of the state. Which is ongoing 24 hours a day. Very sick, very sexually perverted, very demented, very demonic. This is the entity that is engaging in surveillance in concert with the state. It's 10:41 p.m. All right, 11 p.m. The Ontario Police are gang stalking with the people of the state, molesting with impossible light activity in doing so. This is Ontario Police acting with the people. License 6LJP124. That looks like a Latina female. She's gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, engaging in a sex offense by molesting me with impossible light activity at what is the First Christian Church Ontario, where the Ontario Police know exactly where I'm at, and they are stalking in concert with the people. A whole police department stalking one person with the people of the state. It is currently 11 p.m. I want to be clear, the entity engaging in what is an unlawful method of eviction based on the intent to obstruct justice, based on hostility to being documented, the pattern of conduct already established. So the pattern of conduct is documented on May 29, 2025 with regard to the commission of a kidnapping while the entity is engaging in this. And this is the United States government's criminal pattern of conduct. So those that I've already documented by name, the U.S. government acting via state actor Jason Isaac Fields, the demons monitoring in the hospital, the demons kidnapping by a police department, the demons doing so while they're engaging in this pattern of conduct, while they are also aware, the government is aware, the government is monitoring the evidence being published, being gathered in real time, both while I'm documenting now on my devices, while I'm subject to the pattern of conduct, and they're engaging in voyeurism and psychological torture, and also engaging in federal stalking as I publish it on the venue of the internet as well. This is what, again, Tracy Banks' sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, as state actor, gang stalking me, is no friend of mine while gang stalking me with Tracy Banks. And again, Tracy Banks is very hostile to the idea of being exposed as that type of predator, having sex with my peers with whom she's gang stalking me with. But she indeed is, and they are also together engaging in what is a kidnapping. And so kidnapping is also relevant to what is license 9AG Zebra 469, while the entity is amplifying plane and train activity. The people of the state are gang stalking, but doing so while the entity is seeking to engage in what is a means of bullying, a means of intimidation, a means of what is obstruction of justice. while engaging in this unlawful eviction. And this is while the entity is still gang stalking the entire time. Okay, so this is the criminal conduct that I've been documenting the same entity, including Tracy Banks' sex partner, who are demons engaging in targeting together. But remember, it's not the individual Jason Isaac Fields, it's the government. It's not the individual Tracy Banks, it's the people of the state, it's the entity, which is the government acting vicariously. And this is the entity that's engaging that P.O.C. While they're targeting and then engaging in an unlawful eviction, and now just stalking me while I'm walking around in Ontario at 11:03 p.m. And by they, I mean, remember, this demon, Jason Isaac Fields, it doesn't have to be in a vehicle tracking my steps from from corner to corner. It's the government system. The people of the state are gang stalking. The city of Ontario is gang stalking, and it's government action. And this is how an entity is doing so. Now, with regard to identifying the entity, within that entity is state actor, the Ontario Police Department is state actor Jason Isaac Fields. Is it also a demon, a psychopath who is spiritually monitoring me while I'm outside being targeted? This is no friend of mine, clearly, because he's having sex with my mother, who is gang stalking, a maniacal psychopath who you engage in what is an obsession with trying to tether merely the label of medication, which doesn't exist, and mental illness, which doesn't exist, because she is being documented. Her sex partners, Jason Isaac Fields, they're both obsessively monitoring and gang stalking. And to engage in something like as causing the circumstance of homelessness where the entity is targeting you, that's exactly what is reasonable to occur. And the entity is gang stalking while in that state. And that unlawful eviction that the entity committed together. Tracy Banks did so as a third party. The government, the people of the state together engaging in what is kick her out, get her out of the apartment, and do so through the police department. That was state action that Tracy Banks engaged in with her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, very much interested in my being in this circumstance while they are stalking. Okay, so be mindful of that. That's what I'm documenting. And this is the entity that is, again, no friend of mine. Nobody that's having anal sex with Tracy Banks is a friend of mine. Tracy Banks is gang stalking. She's engaging in what is sex with my peers while they're gang stalking me together, and watching me engaging in voyeurism, engaging in what is harassment, gang stalking me with the Ontario police who are driving by on the corners as I'm standing outside, as I'm walking down the street. These demons as a whole police department stalking together. That's very pathetic. But nonetheless, it's criminal conduct. But this is speaking to evidence of a police department that does not need to exist while they engage in the bidding of corrupt government actors, the federal law enforcement agencies, the corrupt U.S. government, sex offenders, stalkers, psychopaths, demons like Jason Isaac Fields, who are engaging in voyeurism as though this is going to force me to cooperate with the government that's targeting me, as though this is going to force me while you're engaging in what is watching me being in this circumstance, because that's what the entity is doing. They're gang stalking and sitting around and watching. All right, that's very sick behavior, and it's the demons that are engaging in this gang stalking conduct that I am exposing every aspect of. It's currently 11:05 p.m. and subject to what is the criminal act of federal group stalking and monitoring through a kidnapping that the entirety of that entity is committing together, and then engaging in doing so to accomplish this very purpose, which is homelessness. If capable of keeping me subject to a kidnapping, and if not, intentionally maintaining what is this position with regard to wanting also the documentation to stop, and also with regard to the interest of the entity. That's particularly Jason Isaac Fields. I want to make sure that I expose this demon. He's not a friend of mine. This demon is monitoring me, and this demon is engaging with his voyeurism while I'm in this state. If you're somebody that's not targeting, then you're not sitting around watching me walk around on the streets. You're not sitting around that's gang stalking, spiritually attacking, and then acting like, oh, nothing to see here, folks. This is a psychopath, and this is, again, the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. And I'm going to document it because the entity is engaging in psychopathic behaviors, and it needs to be known with regard to the practice of witchcraft. It's real. Demonic activity is real. The demon possessed are real. And this criminal system of federal group stalking and monitoring is also real. And you're witnessing myself as I'm documenting it, as I experience it, and as I show you the system and the patterns that's repeating over and over again with regard to the criminal pattern of conduct as I'm documenting it. And it's also become a basis for targeting, as opposed to my mere identity also being targeted because I'm documenting and publishing evidence of it. It is 11:07 p.m. where the entity is engaging in voyeurism, stalking me while I'm outside after the entity engaged in an unlawful eviction at Woodside Senior Apartments. Crossing path with amplified train activity. 9 SKA 593. It's 11:07 p.m. And the entity is gang stalking at what is 515 That's the address that I'm at right now at what would be, let me get this address right now. 515 North Lemon Avenue. All right, and light activity as I walk in front and get that door address, the street lamps, as though there's motion lights through the street lamps. That's the municipality gang stalking. Light activity as you walk by a third-party facilitating venue. The street lamps are not motion detectors, but the entity that is gang stalking, engaging in what is stalking with light activity, operating in the same manner that you would when you put like a motion detector or one of those motion lights on your property, and when you move, the light comes on. That's what the entity is doing with street lamps. That's the entity that's gang stalking somebody that is homeless walking outside. That's demonic, and it's also implicating the government, the state itself, targeting a specific person, and that's also evident through this, the documentation of the fake sun. It's currently 11:08 p.m. I want to document the entity that's gang stalking with Tracy Banks. I documented another third-party gang stalking with Tracy Banks. His name is Anthony Jawan Kennedy, and on October 3rd, 2019, when this entity engaged in theft of my vehicle, and the Ontario Police Department gang stalked me via helicopter from the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library to 717 North Vine Avenue, which is documented in a series of like 13 to 14 videos. The demons and those videos are showing how the helicopter remains over me as I'm going from the library to the venue of 717 North Vine Avenue, the people of the state. Just like I'm documenting today, by the way, the entity stalking from place to place in helicopter. The entity is doing so with regard to the people of the state. And as I documented on October 3rd, 2019, when I'm in San Bernardino, and the San Bernardino Police Department is engaged in gang stalking by helicopter as well, after the Ontario Police Department that routinely engage in that in the city of Ontario in the specific environment, and stealing my vehicle, which is also documented in the civil case initiated against the entity, Erica Lorenz Spencer v. Bill and Wags. Initiated October 11th, 2019. So the entity is gang stalking, and this is the same conduct with what is Jason Isaac Fields. This is no friend of mine. Like, that's exactly what I documented about the people of the state. Anthony Jawan Kennedy is no friend of mine, engaging in what is gang stalking, and doing so what is engaging in the voyeurism as an entity while you are in the circumstance that the entity creates. Okay, this is not somebody that's engaging in what is shifting blame, incapable of taking responsibility for their life circumstances, having no sort of motivation, not capable of accomplishing anything, or not willing to accomplish anything. The entity is engaged in what is sabotage in my professional career, being gang stalked at work as an attorney, and being gang stalked, as I documented, as a property manager, which you are witnessing in 2024 from February to July, when I resigned because of that, which is an unlawful threat to your life, which I remain subject to in order to document it and recover from it. I remain subject to this criminal system that this entity engaged in what is kidnapping, because I am documenting it. And also, this is relevant to one who is not my friend. I want to make it a part of the record. Jason Isaac Fields is not a friend of mine. This is somebody that's engaging in voyeurism and is also a psychopath who is spiritually attacking me, gang stalking me, and wanting to maintain some sort of illusion of distance, where he is engaging in what is obsessively monitoring, and also engaging in what is voyeurism while targeting, and not engaging in what is any sort of assistance or aid whatsoever. This is the entity that's, I'm going to prosecute. Jason Isaac Fields is a documented gang stalker. So Jason Isaac Fields is also Tracy Banks' sex partner. And if I'm correct, they have a child together. So this grandma had a child with Jason Isaac Fields, again, not my friend, engaging in what is watching somebody be homeless and walk around after being kidnapped, which Jason Isaac Fields is engaged in, and then engaging in what is sitting back and watching you subject to that P.O.C, which is what the entity is doing altogether. So this is what Tracy Banks is doing, Eric Corey Spencer is doing, everybody whose name I know. The entity is targeting together and engaging in this voyeuristic behavior while I'm documenting and subject to it. And I want to be clear, Jason Isaac Fields is not a friend at all, which his behavior is, and the life decisions that he's made is evidence of that. So being subject to this circumstance is not going to force me to be silent about that or not speak on it. The entity is engaging in what is creating this circumstance, and I'm going to document it. And I'm also documenting what are the psychopaths that are spiritually attacking, gang stalking, and also doing so with the delusional and psychopathic
false hope that I would be confused about viewing them as a friend, especially when they're sitting back and watching the Ontario police gang stalking, the same Ontario police that engage in kidnapping with the entity. The federal government did not stop the Ontario police from kidnapping. The federal government did not stop the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center from gang stalking and kidnapping and criminally defaming, did not stop that whatsoever. I'm representing my own interest. I'm advocating on my own behalf. I'm documenting by myself. I'm publishing by myself, and I'm subject to it by myself. And I want to make sure that that's clear from the beginning until the end. It is currently 11:13 p.m. This is P.O.C. License 8YDU790. Gang stalking with the Ontario police who sound their vehicles while they're stalking in the path on the opposite side of a building in Engineer Light and monitoring the use of my devices. This heavy set Latino male is pacing in the parking garage across from the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library in Engineer Light. Gang stalk with the Ontario police who sound their vehicles while they're stalking in reliance on the people who are pacing around, monitoring with devices, gang stalking me, and doing so as I document that third-party license plate as I go to press record. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's called criminal summoning. That's creating audible activity, and it's also the communication of a threat by the entity that knows that it's being documented. That's the same City of Ontario gang stalking through the same Ontario police that flew over by helicopter at Starbucks as I published the kidnapping on May 29th with those demons that were inside of Tracy Banks' apartments. And you're referring to also the demon of the same department gang stalking and possible light activity tonight, pursuant to the same criminal tactic of criminal summoning, while you are a whole psychopath and a demon arriving as though you're learning about what's happening at the scene when you are already gang stalking. While you are using a police department to engage in criminal monitoring, you are a police department that's going to be disbanded with regard to kidnapping repeatedly and exhibiting severe mental illness. Inexplicable obsession with my vagina, inexplicable obsession with me while you are stalking as an entire police department and doing spectacular criminal acts such as stalking me in helicopter. That is speaking to what that third party with that license plate is engaging in the parking garage, which is relevant positioning, light activity, keeping the vehicle in that parking garage with the motor running and the lights on. This light activity for purposes of the entity that's maintaining the elements of monitoring in the specific environment. Remember, it's not just that they have headlights on. It's not just that there are building lights. It's not just all the methods of light that appear. It's that it's occurring in the specific environment, which is supernatural. That's when you're understanding the purpose behind what is supposed to appear on its surface as normal conduct. There's nothing normal about multiple shadows. There's nothing normal about amplification. There's nothing normal about police departments being documented in thousands of videos, following me around in helicopters in that environment as well. Nothing normal at all. And this is the entity that's engaging in kidnapping as a whole police department. And then when they engage in a lawful eviction, helping Tracy Banks accomplish that, they're stalking me while I'm now outside. That's Mike LORENZ, the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C. It's currently 11:20 p.m. All right, this is additional documentation. It is still Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. What is relevant, you are always mindful of what the entity is monitoring. The entity is monitoring me and also monitoring what it is that I'm exposing about it. And so it is also crucial to pay attention to what I was discussing in the podcast and what I was documenting on video on May 29th, 2025, as well as paying attention to the fact that at this time I'm also expanding my platforms to TikTok and X. So this is also relevant. The entity engages in kidnapping on the same day that I'm referring to this sex couple, these two demons gang stalking together, which is Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks. And I actually focused in on what is both the spiritual component, this witchcraft practice, this sex cult, the demon possessed engaging in what is the satanic targeting system, and also the criminal conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring, and also what the entity is engaging, which is literally, like I stated on the 29th, monitoring obsessively, and also sitting back and concerned about how all of their witchcraft, all of the demons that they have summoned up that they're not affecting me. It's going to return back to the sender. Remember all of this that I'm discussing on May 29th. This is the day that Tracy Banks comes home unprovoked, without incident, nothing precipitating. She is referring to the entity that is gang stalking, including right now. This is at Ovid Family Community Library, by the way. And the entity, so let me point this out, by the way, it's not a distraction. The entity is engaging in conduct such that this amplification is going to continue over Woodside Senior Apartments, which is, again, not rising in elevation. There are no plane takeoffs over this is the senior citizen complex where they're engaging what is amplified audible activity at 11 o'clock at night, 11:32. This is the senior citizen complex. This is the Ovid Family Community Library where I've shown you the fake sun and the entity gang stalking by the Ontario International Airport, which is necessarily hovering in order to hear it. Even though you're breaking down that illusion, you're seeing the demon possessed that are crossing path in the sky space, and the sound is amplification. It's entirely demonic. It's also relevant while I'm reminding you about what I stated about these two demons in particular with regard to the demonic entity as well. The demon possessed have been engaged in what is spiritually attacking as a whole entity, a government system, while gang stalking together and further into seeking to murder and kidnap via psychological torture into what is a state of mental illness as the entity engages in what is targeting. This is not accomplishing the purposes that it typically does with regard to the average target individual. And so the entity is engaging in what is not only an obsession with gang stalking me, because these are demons, but also an obsession because of the ineffectual methods that typically work on the ordinary target individual. And if you'll recall what I documented on May 29th, when the entity uses amplified plane activity right now, because of what it is that I'm discussing, also to monitor, I discuss what is the return to sender and demons like Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields in particular, who are engaging in what is spiritually attacking while gang stalking, and doing so while both of them are engaging in what is maintaining secrecy about their sexual relationship, maintaining secrecy about the details of their relationship. Jason Isaac Fields is one that is engaging in what is contact and not speaking about, not discussing, not admitting to any sexual activity with my mother. This is something that is relevant to what is both of the malice that Tracy Banks shares. She's engaged in what is a relationship with Jason Isaac Fields, which she is denying, which you heard. This is relevant to the entity that is gang stalking. The fake mother that's gang stalking with the people of the state, that includes those in my social circle, which she has a sexual relationship with, and then seeking to deny it. And both parties are seeking to not discuss it. This is something that is relevant. While I'm subject to kidnapping, I do contact Jason Isaac Fields with regard to the number that I currently have, which I did document on the website. Jason Isaac Fields answers the phone. Jason Isaac Fields automatically knows who I am. Jason Isaac Fields states that he is married and that he has a son, and he also states nothing about the fact that he has had any relationship with my mother. That's relevant with regard to the demons who are engaging in what is a sexual relationship, an extensive one, and neither party's admitting that. So if you're having sex with my mother, or you had sex with my mother, and that's something that you're not addressing, that's relevant to the malice of this gang stalker. And Tracy Banks, also a fake mother that doesn't want it to be known that she engaged in what is spreading her legs apart to have sex with a former peer of mine who was also not willing to openly address it as well, which is again why I'm stating this is not a friend. He's also engaged in gang stalking with the government and engaging in voyeurism and doing so and still spiritually attacking. So the entity is engaging in this, and I want to make sure that I document that. It is relevant to the kidnapping that I was subject to. Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks are on the same team. This is the entity that's targeting. Tracy Banks acts as the entity. She's an agent that comes home on May 29th and engages what is criminal summoning with the city of Ontario that you hear gang stalking at 11:32 at night, flying over a senior citizen complex, because that's what I'm sitting outside of at the Ovid Family Community Library, and doing so with regard to monitoring
in the specific environment as I documented what it is that I captured. And also remember the video documentation. UPS is gang stalking under the 3:30 p.m. fake sun in the same position where the fake sun is over me at that same exact parking lot at that apartment complex at 10 in the morning. That's capturing the intent and the elements of monitoring by a demon-possessed entity that's also engaged in what is a kidnapping on that day, while I speak to what is the return to sender that sex partners like Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are going to be subject to. They're engaging in what is a kidnapping as a retaliatory act, and also out of an act seeking to obstruct justice. These are demons who are very much desperate, and also engaging in what is conduct that I am documenting and publishing online. And I just want to make it clear that neither Jason Isaac Fields, when I am in contact with him and he is immediately aware of who I am. Haven't spoken to this demon in years, but he automatically knows who I am before I even introduce myself. In contacting him with regard to this, well, he's not a third, well, he is a third party as I'm documenting him in 2018, but this is somebody that is acting as a state actor and not referring to who he is married to, and not referring to who he has a son with, a child with, and also not referring to his sexual relationship with Tracy Banks. It's relevant to Tracy Banks's vehement denial as well. This is relevant to the entity that's gang stalking. So I just want to get to their denials. I want to get to their behavior. I want to get to what it is that they're not addressing while they are also still gang stalking. And Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks are gang stalking together. They are not on different sides of the team. They are not, excuse me, they're not on different sides of the fence. They're gang stalking and monitoring me together. And Tracy Banks with Jason Isaac Fields, the entity, all together engaged in kidnapping as one together. She's the one that lives in that apartment, so she's the one in that position to initiate that. And that was state action that she did as an entity that is very hostile to what it is that I'm publishing on the internet as well, about a criminal pattern of conduct that is pursuant to what is the practice of witchcraft, demonic activity, criminal monitoring. Okay, it is currently 11:38 p.m. So I wanted to include that detail. This is also relevant to the entity that is engaging in what is that criminal pattern of conduct. So it is again 11:38 p.m. This is P.O.C. when I'm speaking to the entity that is stalking in the path on B Street with the method of light activity, while again the Ontario International Airport crosses path by plane. This is the entity maintaining the elements of monitoring. Remember, the entity engages in light activity in engineered light. The entity engages in what is amplified audible activity in engineered light. The entity creates light activity in engineered light pursuant to monitoring. Right? This is P.O.C.